What's going on, everyone? Welcome to an emergency Cobra Cast 199. I wish I would have had time to go live sooner. I was not home when, and I'm not home now, but I was out when it was reported that the United States of America has attacked Iran. And so here we are now with the President of the United States, Donald Trump, set to address the nation. I got to say, pretty calm response. Everybody seems to be responding very calmly right now. There's not a lot of overreaction on social media, but yeah, everybody's being very calm right now. I'm very pleasantly surprised to see that everyone is taking this very rationally and no overreactions. Who am I kidding? This is pretty much all of Twitter right now. Twitter, everyone is pretty much a foreign policy expert theirself right now. Everyone knows what's going on. Everyone gets it. And there's really, like, this chat is going to be a fucking shit show tonight, okay? Like, this chat is going, mods, just get ready, not to ban people, but just understand it's going to be a shit show. Now, President Trump is set to address the nation here in about 7 minutes. So we're going to keep an eye on that. I saw Babo Yogi dropped 10 gifted memberships. Thank you, Babo. I appreciate that. We've got Pippi dropped 5 gifted memberships. AOE2 Freaks is Hail Jeremy and chat. Yeah. And so right now the reaction is pretty crazy across the board. I'm catching up on it because I didn't see a lot of what's happening. And so right now, let's see. President Trump just posted this on True Social. Let me see if I can pull this up really quick. Okay, so President Trump posted this on True Social just now. And this is in a response to back in 2020 after taking out Soleimani. He posted the same thing. So this is directly from President Trump's True Social. True Social was down immediately after the announcement of this. And so we're getting reports that he basically bombed 3 different locations of nuclear facilities for Iran. Those are the reports that we're getting right now. These were B-2 bombers that carried out the attack. You have the New York Times claiming that the U.S. has entered war with Iran. That is from the New York Times. But we were getting reports earlier today that J.D. Vance was saying that Israel was trying to push us into a war, which again, that's what it looked like on the outside for me as well. I've been very critical of that. And so we're going to hear from the president himself here in hopefully about 5 minutes. So let's see. Yeah. So again, this is a throwback to 2020. That's what he's posting right now. And I personally don't think this is a great moment. Personally, I'm not happy about it, but I'm also not going to overreact. I'm going to give President Trump time to explain his actions. On the surface, I do not support any foreign wars that we're getting involved in. I definitely don't support troops on the ground. So on the surface, I'm not happy about this. Now, there is something called details and nuance that literally no one on social media is capable of. Everyone wants to jump to their conclusion, and they're going to have whatever preconceived notions that they had, and that's totally fine. This is the internet. I do it. Everyone else does it. So I'm not here to tell you what you can and can't do. But let's see. This is right here from
more, according to the president. The other thing I can point out, Brett, is that this is an operation in the last 18 years since I've been at the Pentagon. I've never seen such operational security. There was nobody speaking about this.
Oh, shit.
Any of the preparation.
I apologize. So right now, I apologize because I am in Eastern time zone. So I apologize. I'm normally in Central time zone, so my brain is wired to think that when it says a time Eastern, I have to fast forward ahead. So I am in the Eastern time zone at the moment. Normally, I'm in Central. So Trump is about an hour away, not 5 minutes, so an hour and 5 minutes away. My bad. This is what gets so confusing living near, where time zones switch over. I'm completely twisted up over that. So my apologies. Normally I am in Central time zone. Right now I'm in Eastern time zone. So anyway, there you go. And I am kind of retarded. So that's really not a big deal. And that shouldn't surprise anyone. Let me make sure that I have all of my other streams up. Okay, Rumble's up and running. YouTube's up and running. There we go. Okay, so we're currently going to be, so let's start this over again. So now that we are not rushing to wait for President Trump to go live.
More, according to the president. The other thing I can point out, Brett, is that this is an operation in the last 18 years since I've been at the Pentagon. I've never seen such operational security. There was nobody speaking about this, any of the preparations. There was a complete lockdown, almost a blackout of information for the last few days. I'm sitting here in the Pentagon right now. I can tell you the hallways are empty, and all of the information is coming right now out of the White House. That is a significant achievement because there were no leaks about the timing. Now, sometimes I think those who, a lot of the flight trackers, the open source intelligence flight trackers, that flight radar did indicate some of when the B-2s took off from Whiteman. But again, nobody really expected that it would take place this evening. If you looked at the moon schedule, you might have had a clue because it was a waning crescent and almost a new moon on the 25th. So it would have been very, very dark over Iran tonight, and you need that in order to bomb. That's the ideal condition for something like a B-2 that is, yes, it's stealth, but it still has to be escorted in case any Iran were to put up any planes or there were any opportunities to fire on those B-2s, which are such valuable and very.
Okay, really quick. I got to say this. So breaking, the U.S. military is now briefing troops that its strike on Iran will likely result in counterstrikes on U.S. bases and facilities in the Middle East. This is what I don't like about this. And ultimately, the reason that I have a problem with this entire scenario is on the surface, and I will fully acknowledge that I will wait for more details, but on the surface, this looks like Israel dragged us into their conflict. That's what it looks like. Now, I understand that there's a lot more detail and nuance that goes with that, and I understand that there's a pattern of history where Donald Trump has talked about Iran can't have a nuclear weapon, but on the surface, this does not look good. And I don't like that it seems like Israel dragged us into their conflict. So, and right now, my primary concern is our troops. And my primary concern is more so our troops than anything that anybody's saying about President Trump. I'm a President Trump supporter. I don't necessarily support this decision. I don't like this decision on the surface. We will get more details. But now his actions, which seem to be on the surface motivated by Israel dragging him into this, which is very un-Trumpian-like, now his actions have put our soldiers in danger, and that is a problem. That is a huge problem. Now, but we'll see. I will patiently wait for President Trump's response, because you have Charlie Kirk saying Iran gave President Trump no choice. For over a decade, he has been adamant that Iran will never get a nuclear weapon. Iran decided to forego diplomacy in pursuit of a bomb. This is a surgical strike operated perfectly. So we shall see. When is the address? In 1 hour from now is when the address is, in 1 hour from now. Now, ultimately, like I said, the predominant theme that you're seeing on social media, and you'll hear me preface everything that I am saying, because ultimately I do trust President Trump, but I can only speak to what I know, and I only know what I'm being presented. And so, but right now on Twitter, this is basically the response that you're getting across the board on Twitter. Everyone is something of a foreign policy expert themselves. So that's what you're seeing right now. You're seeing blanket, kind of like reactions, and people making just insane emotional reactions to this. And so we'll have to see how this ultimately plays out. And but let's see. Let me catch up here. So we are currently, I do have a feed pulled up, so I will be going live to Trump when he goes live, but it says we're about an hour away. We're about an hour away. Now we just got a new, let's see, update from Disclose TV. Let me see if I can pull that one up because it just left my feed. Trump currently has no plans for additional American military actions inside Iran. That is per fake news CNN. So you can take that for what you want, but it's CNN, and the reporting on all of this has been completely insane, to say the least. NTR Uncle says it's not TDS to be critical of Trump. Absolutely not. There's nothing wrong. I'm critical of Trump. I have no problem with criticisms of Trump. I have problems with people that foam at the mouth and can't make a coherent argument because Orange Man bad. But no, like, I have no problem with people criticizing Trump. And I think that if you're second guessing his decision tonight, you have every right as an American to do that. 1000%. And so a few people in chat said, no, I'm not. No, what you're upset about is I'm not saying what you want me to say. If you need your favorite podcaster to say what you want, what they want you to say, go find them. I'm not here to dance for what you want me to say. Your emotions mean nothing to me. Okay. Nothing. I'm not here to say what you want me to say. I'm here to say what I think, and you can either agree or disagree, but I'm not just going to say what you want me to say. Because you can never chase the internet from that perspective. So no, what you're saying is you're not criticizing him the way I want you to. And that is an emotionally weak response from an emotionally weak person. That's ultimately what that is. So also, Netflix Yahoo is set to address the nation tonight as well. For those that don't know who Netflix Yahoo is, that is the mall kiosk prime minister of Israel, who I am not a fan of at all. And I feel that he is the mall kiosk. He's basically a mall kiosk salesman for world leaders. That's what he comes off as. He comes off very inauthentic. He comes off very manipulative. And I am not a fan of him at all. So he is the mall kiosk, because the mall kiosk guy. Essentially, the mall kiosk guy, when you make eye contact with him, he's won. And he locks those eyes into you and he's like, hey, sir. And he starts speaking in a foreign language and can't understand half of what he says. And you're like, no. And he's literally just sitting there with an Indiana Jones level, whip. And he's like, lassos you in. You're like, no. You can't get away from him once he makes eye contact. That's who Netflix Yahoo is. And he wants to sit there and say, today it's Tel Aviv, tomorrow it can be New York. And I don't believe that. I believe that on the surface, it looks like he drug the United States into this based on what we see right now. So we'll see. So Trump is set to address the nation at 10 p.m. tonight. If you're just tuning in, the United States has carried out bombing on Iran's nuclear sites. And this has caused the internet to go a little crazy. Everyone, though, is being relatively calm. No emotional outburst or anything like that. And I'm personally waiting to hear from President Trump himself to see what he has to say. Hayden Wayne says, this isn't what I voted for. If this turns into a larger action, it's a betrayal of what I voted for. I didn't want to be involved at all. Not my sand, not my problem. Bibi told Israel could handle it. Why didn't they? This is an extremely fair take from Hayden Wayne. Netflix Yahoo just the other day said that Israel could handle it, but that goes into that creates a conflict based on what he already said, where he was lobbying to Americans that says today it's Tel Aviv, tomorrow it can be New York. Well, why are you talking to Americans about your conflict? Why are you talking to the American people about that? I mean, this is the same guy that met with people like Tim Pool, podcasters like Tim Pool and other right-wing influencers, Netflix, Yahoo. He met with them to try to leverage them to, I guess, carry water for him, which is a huge fucking problem, dude. It's a huge problem. And anybody that doesn't think that's a problem, you just like, you can't take them seriously. A foreign leader meeting with American podcasters to try to leverage them to carry water for him? No. Not cool at all. But thank you, Hayden Wayne. And again, I'm not a fan of this. I'm not a fan of the United States taking action based on the information that we have. And Trump is going to address the nation and give more answers and I guess more clarity. But my question always comes down to, if Iran was such a threat, why didn't we take action before Israel took action? Why is it we are following the actions of Israel? That's what I don't get. None of this makes sense to me. None of this makes sense. Let's see. Kate Banfield for $20 says, so much for a quiet weekend. Yes, so much for a quiet weekend. So yes, 10 p.m. Eastern, Adrian. Yes, 10 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, I was not even home I wasn't where I could address this. And of course it happened. And so I just canceled all of my plans and abandoned everyone I was with and said, I got to go. Trump bombed Iran. The blue futon for 20 says, my number one vote was immigration, so I can't be mad. You can't win them all. But Trump had Iran's opinion way before. 99% of people on the internet don't have top secret clearance. If Massey is mad, then I think I can be happy. Well, Massey's always mad. And so again, it's the boy that cried wolf. When you're always mad, why should I take you seriously? Because you're mad at this particular moment in time. So I don't really, I take the opinions of Tucker Carlson seriously. I think Tucker Carlson's criticisms of President Trump, I think those are the most valid criticisms I have heard. I think Steve Bannon's criticisms are valid. I think all of those are very valid. So I've said this from the moment that, a lot of MAGA got mad at Tucker Carlson. And I'm like, I'm not mad at Tucker at all. I think Tucker had very valid points in his criticisms of President Trump. And so I had no problem with that at all. And I think if you go back and listen to what Tucker Carlson said, I think that's not a bad thing at all. Now, hold on. So right here, breaking, Iranian TV is now displaying a map of U.S. military bases in the Middle East, promising retaliation. Mr. Trump, you started it and we will end it. Not good. Not good at all. Let's back this up.
من هدف مشروع ایران هستند. آمریکا با این اقدامی که انجام داد علیه ایران و حریم هوایی ایران را شکست و جنایت علیه ایران انجام داد دیگه جایی در منطقه غرب آسیا نداره. آقای رئیس جمهور آمریکا، شما شروع کردید و ما تمومش خواهیم کرد.
This is not what I voted for. However, listening to him threaten President Trump is pretty hilarious, but this is not what I voted for. Not what I voted for. Don't want to be involved in this foreign conflict at all. But you've got to have a level head right now, and very few people are having a level head. But this is on the premise, on the surface, this is not what I voted for. Let's see right here. No, I'm gonna pull something else up. So we are currently waiting right now. I have the feed pulled up, so we're currently waiting. The New York Times is claiming that we are officially at war with Iran. I don't know if the United States of America has announced it that way. ESPN announces U.S. strikes on Iran. I have to hear this.
President Donald Trump will address the nation tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern time regarding the attack on Iran earlier today. ABC News will have live coverage He has said, quote, "We have completed our very successful attack on 3 nuclear sites in Iran. All planes are now outside of Iran airspace." Again, much more. 10 o'clock Eastern Time, ABC News for a live coverage of President Trump's news conference.
Well, no screeching and crying, so that's a start. That's a start for ESPN.
From obtaining the most lethal weapon on the planet, this is America first policy in action. The speaker finishes by saying, "God bless our brave men and women in uniform, the most lethal fighting force on the planet, as we pray for their safe return home. May God bless America." Johnson brings up a point, Hal, that there were opportunities to make a deal between the regime and between President Trump. I believe there were 60 days of negotiations that took place. And then on the 61st day, that's when the Israelis began striking in Iran. What do we know about what was discussed in that 60-day period? How much progress, if any, was made when there was a table to be discussing at?
Not much.
No?
Well, that's what's going to get lost in a lot of this is that there were negotiations. This is just the truth. So people just saying that it's just, warmongers to be warmongers. You probably are too young to remember George W. Bush, an actual warmonger. But obviously there was a lot of negotiations, and on those negotiations just continue to not work. None of that is my problem. My single problem with this entire situation is I want to know how much involvement Israel had in us getting involved, because on the surface, it looks like we got involved because Israel got involved. And I don't like that at all. That's my main issue with all of this. If we were going to get involved, that's fine. But day 61, Israel gets involved. Why did Israel get involved? Did they get involved because President Trump gave them all clear? That's an explanation, but I want to know that. Or did they take it upon themselves to get involved and then we had to be pulled into it? This is my main issue with this whole situation right now. A lot of people have no ability to critically think, and they just think we bombed Iran, Trump said new wars, blah, 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 blah. On the premise, he's trying to prevent Iran from having a nuclear weapon. That's what the details are. But I want specifics on, did we follow Israel into this? And if we did, that's a huge problem for me. And I don't know if we're going to get those answers or not, but these are the questions that I ask myself. Let's see here. Where are we at? You guys are crazy tonight. John freaking Murdoch for 50 says that was a short 2 weeks. YouTube won't let me complete this thought. Well, thank you, John. I appreciate it. Well, that's the thing about Trump is he's never going to show his hand when he's negotiating or when he's plotting something. That he never has and he never will. So the 2 week thing was obviously a head fake. And I don't know if Iran fell for it or not. I would like to know, and I don't know if I've heard this yet. I'm keeping an eye on my feed. Were there any casualties in Iran? Were there any casualties in Iran? That would be, and I have not seen anything to know if that's the case. JMNZZ for 50 says John McCain is jerking off in his grave right now. Yeah, and Lindsey Graham right now, and the rest of the warmongers are eating this up. They're loving this. And I fuck Lindsey Graham forever, by the way. So personally, I 100% trust that President Trump made the right call at the right time. These strikes seem to be limited in and out. If it turns into longer actions, I might change my stance. I think that's a pretty good take. I think that, it's an in and out situation. It was very, very precise, very focused. The problem is what we just heard. And I'll play it again because this is where retaliation is the problem. And this is what worries me.
من هدف مشروع ایران هستند. آمریکا با این اقدامی که انجام داد علیه ایران و حریم هوایی ایران را شکست و جنایت علیه ایران انجام داد دیگه جایی در منطقه غرب آسیا نداره. آقای رئیس جمهور آمریکا شما شروع کردید و ما تمومش خواهیم کرد.
See, the problem is if any United States soldiers are injured or lives are taken, that's going to fall on President Trump. No way around it. He takes that on, just like we blame George W. Bush for it. If any soldiers' lives are affected, that is on Trump. And that's not what I voted for. That's not what I voted for at all. John freaking Murdoch for 50 says, now I worry for my sons. And that is the big concern right there is now, again, just be clear. Iran is full of shit for a lot of the stuff they say. So this is Iranian media. So you can't just take this and go, oh my God, they're going like, this is just Iranian media. But that's not a good thing when you have that out there. But I would like to know if there were any casualties in Iran. And I don't know if we have that answer. Let's see. Iranian official says nuclear sites not damaged beyond repair. Again, you have to take this with a grain of salt because this is Iranian media. But that's what they are saying right now. And you're going to hear a shit ton of propaganda. So let's see. Trump warns Iran they will be struck again if they do not stop. This is wild, man. This is like stuff is just, the updates are happening in real time. Let's see here. Trump, quote, they should stop, otherwise they'll get hit again. Okay, let's hear from the number one. I'm not going to call this guy the number one Trump ball washer. He's the number one Republican ball washer of all time. So if you ever, this is for future Republican parties members, if you ever want a wonderful blowjob, just talk to Sean Hannity and make sure he knows you have an R next to your name. Sean Hannity will take care of you if you have an R next to your name. Here we go.
Fox News alert. I just spoke to the President of the United States. I have some new information and breaking details to share about tonight's what is historic air campaign. Now, tonight, Iran's nuclear ambitions, they are officially dead. It appears the United States just completely obliterated Iran's top secret Fordow nuclear facility with 6 huge bunker buster bombs. It was originally speculated that you would only need 2. It turns out they used 5 to 6 dropped from America's stealth B-2 bombers. And that's not all. 2 other major Iranian nuclear sites, Natanz and Esfahan, were wiped out with 30 Tomahawk missiles launched by American submarines some 400 miles away. Everyone is out of harm's way for now. That does not mean that American assets in the region are not at risk. And we are monitoring the Iranian response or potential response all throughout the night.
So now look, this tweet right here, like, again, details, nuance, and being calm is the key to all of this. Now, this tweet, if this 100% is how this all ends, I would agree with this tweet. But we don't know that this is how this all ends, and that's the problem. If this all ends like this tweet says, okay, fair enough. I don't really believe that's going to happen. Donald Trump ended Iran's nuclear capabilities in one single night, and no American troops were harmed in the process. This was a masterful operation, not a single leak either. He gave them 2 weeks and struck 3 days later. I agree with this if this is ultimately what the end result is. But we don't know that yet. This is the current state of it right now, but we don't know what the end result will be. But if that's the end result, then I agree with the tweet. Absolutely. Let's see. Great Danes for 50 says, by removing Iran's nuclear facilities, Trump has essentially taken away Israel's excuse for the entire war. Now, that is an interesting point. Interesting indeed. Thank you for the 50. John Murdoch says, the warmonger in me wants to say goal. Thank you, John. So right now, I'm just telling you, social media is a shit show. All right. And the number one predominant thing you're seeing on social media is everyone is a foreign policy expert right now. Everybody. Nobody is going to agree. Everybody is an expert. Everybody knows. Everybody has all the understandings, all the intelligence. Every single person knows. All right. That is how it is right now on social media. So just what's the like, there's a meme, you know, where they're putting like the hazmat suit on and it's like getting ready to go into the comment section. And that's what's happening right now. Getting ready to go into the comment section, and you're gonna have it's basically being on Twitter right now and commenting on this is the closest thing you're gonna see to a modern day Modern Warfare 2 lobby. It's not a Modern Warfare 2 lobby, and it's not even close, but it's the closest thing you're gonna see in 2025 to a Modern Warfare 2 lobby. A complete shit show. So I guess enjoy it while it's here, because that's all it's going to be, for sure. All right. Let's see. President Trump sent multiple decoys.
3 in all.
All right. Let's see here. Here we go.
From the White House after those unprecedented strikes against Iran's nuclear enrichment sites, 3 in all in Isfahan, Fordo, and Natanz. And you mentioned the 6 bunker-busting bombs, Sean, that the president told you about. That means 3 B-2 bombers were involved in the strikes tonight, because each B-2 bomber can only carry 2 of those 15-ton bunker-busting bombs. So that means 3 B-2 bombers were involved. And as we heard from Jennifer's reporting, it's likely deception was involved. Everyone woke up this morning to chatter about these 6 B-2 bombers flying west over the Pacific, refueling over Hawaii at about 11 p.m. But it's clear now that those were decoys, and that another flight of B-2s flew east, likely 3 of them. When you said 6 bunker-busting bombs were dropped, that flight that went east went to the target and annihilated Fordo, as we're hearing, likely destroying Iran's nuclear enrichment program. As you mentioned, for 11 years, President Trump has made clear that Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. That was his red line, and tonight he enforced it. You mentioned the 30 Tomahawks fired from sub.
So the question I would have is, in a hypothetical sense, if Iran was this close to having a nuclear weapon, do you justify the actions of President Trump? Because really it comes down to, do you believe Trump at that point? Like, and that's got to be the core baseline of it, like getting all the other bullshit out of it. Like, do you believe Trump when he said that they were close to having a nuclear bomb, and that's why he struck? That's what this comes down to. Why is my chat freezing up? I'm sure there's a lot of craziness going on tonight. So there it is. Okay, chat's not frozen up anymore. So a lot of yeses, a lot of no. Mr. Hater says you're coping hard now. Mr. What is your name? Hang on. Where did it go? Let me see. Can't find it. Oh, there it is. Mr. Hater says, D-Day Cobra, you're coping hard now. Mr. Hater, I would say that I've only been live for 35 minutes and I've already made a lot of money that I could pay your mom for a blowjob, but she gives those out for free. So I guess that would defeat my point. So I don't want to say anything disrespectful to you. Say hello to your mother for me, though. Okay, so where are we at right here? There's so many people that are watching my stream going, who is this guy? I'm just a sarcastic asshole. That's it. Sarcastic asshole. Currently waiting for the president of the United States to address the nation. And as you've heard, I mean, I've even been, I don't think I've been like horribly critically. I've been a little bit critical of President Trump tonight, but that's not enough for the people that want me to just, what the people that want me, they want me to just turn on President Trump. And that's not happening. I'm not turning on President Trump. I can disagree with President Trump. I can look at this on the surface and question it. And that's exactly what I'm doing. But I'm not a single issue voter. You can leave that up to the libertarians, because libertarians are single issue voters. Libertarians will tell you, if this guy does this one thing, I'll support him. And then that guy does that one thing, and then that guy does another thing, and then they're willing to jump off the ship because they're single issue voters. And this is why they will continue to get 2%, and that'll be fine with them. So let's see here. There's so many updates right now. I can barely keep up with all this craziness. Let me go back to the live feed and hear what they're having to say right here.
Declaration of war. We haven't had declaration of war since World War II. I don't know if Congress would be too inclined to declare war on Iran. And by law, I think the War Powers Act, the clock has already started ticking based on what I've seen. But what I will say is this: we are now part of this conflict, part of this war, if you will. I think it's certainly fair to say that Iran and Israel are at war, and we have now entered in as a party to that conflict on the side of Israel, obviously. And so we are a party to it. The question is, what will Iran do? Will Iran now try to broaden the conflict to start targeting U.S. facilities, bases, assets, interests in the region and potentially out of the region? Will they try to do that? And if they do, then I'm sure there's a lot of contingency plans, as I mentioned, branches and sequels of the current plan.
I am curious if I can, I'm going to put a poll in the chat, and let's see. I want to gauge how much what people are thinking about this. What are your thoughts on this? Do you support President Trump's decision? Let's see. Let me pull this up. Poll in the chat. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Do you support Trump's decision? And I'm sure that this will be a very, calm discussion in the chat. Do you support Trump's decision? Start the poll. Boom. Here we go. Let's see how this one turns out. I'm interested in this one because we've got on YouTube, we've got 7,500 people watching. On Rumble, we've got 1,000 people watching. I know Rumble audience, I don't have a poll over there. So right now, 59% right now have saying yes. Now, just so you know, this is historically a very, 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 very pro-Trump audience that watches this channel. I'm sure, obviously, we have a lot of people that aren't fans of Trump. There's a lot of people that are paying attention to this that otherwise wouldn't watch the channel. But that's fine. I want you here too. I'm happy to have you here. But so it's 60% right now. Yes, 40% no. I guess I expected it to be closer to 50-50. So having a 60-40 split is that's a little better than I anticipated, actually. So, I mean, if I was asked directly to answer that, because I bet if I do this in another way, I bet if I add I'm on the fence, I bet that might win the predominant of the majority of the vote. If I put, 3 choices, yes, no, or I'm on the fence, I bet I'm on the fence would probably, and I would say that's where I would be if I had the third option. But if I'm choosing 1 or 2, I'm going to have to say yes, but it's a very reluctant yes. You know what I mean? So let's see here. Interesting results right there. Hayden Wayne, where'd it go? Damn it. I know you sent another one, Hayden. Hayden Wayne for 20 says, dude, my power is out. I'm in the desert. It's hot. I didn't need this tonight. If we are going to get involved, we should have become the American empire. Took out their leadership and did the thing Rome did and took over. Well, first of all, Hayden, you need to be safe, brother. You got to keep me updated now. Hail to you, brother. Be safe out there. Be safe. Just the hardest working man right there, Hayden Wayne. Always working, always working. Ira Skywalker for 50 says, just tuned in. Apologies if this was mentioned. When the attempt was made on Trump last year, it was mentioned that Iran had plans to try to do it as well. Perhaps he has a personal interest in showing who's really in charge of the narrative. Hail the 199. Yeah, I mean, so we had that reported that, Iran attempted to assassinate President Trump. And I think that there's a lot of questions around that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with being skeptical of that because ultimately, if Iran straight up just tried to assassinate Trump, I don't understand why we needed to wait for Israel to go in there if we wanted to go in there. Again, it all comes back to the motivations of why we got involved and the timing of when we got involved. Because if we had direct evidence of Iran trying to assassinate President Trump, that is an act of war on their part. Like, we should have responded day fucking one. If that's if that's what happened and we have intelligence on that, then Trump should be like, all right, I'm president. I'm going after you. You tried to assassinate a sitting president or a former president, whatever. Then we should have been in there day one. So that's where I question that. Like, I've heard the reports on that, but the execution of responding to that's a little strange. Logan Miller with 5 get to memberships. Thank you, Logan. Appreciate it. Let's see. Chris says, go big or go home for $20. Thank you, Chris. Dark Schwartz Rising for 20 says, Iran saying the sites were not damaged beyond repair is probably BS. I agree. No way. They've already done a full assessment of damage to all sites. Hasn't been an hour yet. And if they have, it's likely a bit worse than they say. I agree with this. I mean, everything that's going to come out of the Iranian media is going to be bullshit for the most part. I mean, it's been like that for a while. Let's see. This is a concern, though, right here. Thank you, Dark Schwartz. A commenter on Iranian state television said that every American citizen or military personnel in the region is now considered a legitimate target. More than 40,000 U.S. active duty troops and civilians are working for the Pentagon in the Middle East, many of whom are in Iran's direct line of fire. That is scary. That is very scary. If true, by the way, Raw alerts or Raw's alerts or whatever, this page is run by a gay furry. So I always question the things that the gay furry from Raw's alert says. I'm not making that up, by the way. It truly is a gay furry that runs this account. So that's not me just memeing or anything like that. But if those numbers are accurate, that's a huge concern right there. The Grok claim, did Grok even answer? Let's see if Grok even answered. Let's see here. Let's see. The claim that Iranian state which quotes a presenter making the statement, no official Iranian denial was found, suggesting blah, 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 blah. However, it may be rhetorical as such statements often serve propaganda purposes. The context of 40,000 U.S. personnel in the region makes it serious, but historical. So it's not even confirming that. Grok sucks, by the way. Grok sucks. And by the way, the people that are leaning on Grok to answer shit for them are some of the cringiest people on social media, man. Like, the amount of people that are reaching out for Grok to, Grok, help me. Grok, is this true, Grok? Is this true? Can you help me? It's insane. It really is. All right, so let's go back to this. I'm waiting. So right now we are about 25 minutes from the scheduled time for President Trump to go live and address the nation after announcing 3 different strikes on Iran nuclear facilities. So we are currently waiting on that right now. And so that's going to be interesting. I do have a poll up in the chat. We have almost 3,000 votes. Do you support Trump's decision? It is sitting at 60-40 right now. I'm going to let that run for another few minutes because I'd like to get as many, thoughts on that as we can. Because this is a very, very big issue right now. And a lot of people are very worked up over it, and rightfully so. I think you should be. I think you should be concerned. I don't think that you should blindly be supporting President Trump just because you support him. I think there's legitimate questions that we should have. I think there's legitimate concerns that we should have. And I think that we should 100% hold our leaders accountable, no matter who they are or how much we, support them. And I think that we as Americans, at least I know I have valid questions right now that I think that we should get answers to, because you've been the peace president. And with these strikes, this has created a huge problem right now for our brave men and women. Jeremy, do you have a mullet now? Maybe. I mean, my hair is getting pretty long, so it's yeah, I haven't cut my hair in months. And I know all the people that think I'm bald. I'm not bald. Tim Pool is, I'm not. But I am getting old, so I'm letting my hair grow out because I probably won't have it much longer. But I got a lot more than Tim does. But Tim has a lot more money than me, so I guess I'd rather have Tim's money. Tim, that's an even trade-off. Tim, if you'll give me your money, I'll give you my head full of beautiful hair. Come on. It's an insecurity for you, Tim. I can cure this problem for you, okay? I got a head full of hair. Tim, I'll give you my hair. You give me your money. Even trade-off, brother. Let's do it, all right? You can keep Jack Murphy, by the way. You can keep Jack Murphy. I just want the money. Andrew CR says, the Iranian guy sounds like Jay Uso speaking English. Oh, God. Oh man, Jay Uso, cringe. Let's see. R Rooster says a few days ago, the Brazilian president are under investigation because days ago, 2 Iranian cargo ships were on the Brazilian coast and some nuclear bombs disappeared. Things are not good for Brazil with Israel and the USA. Whew, a lot. There's a lot of irons in the fire right now. Thank you for the 20. I greatly appreciate that. Kate for 50 says, why is everyone forgetting how Trump assassinated Soleimani and he was forced to countermeasure with millions Obama delivered to Iran on pallets? What did we think he would do with the money? Okay, I'm a bad guy with the chat now. No, I mean, like, that's the thing is, like, the problem, thank you, Kate, so much. The problem that has been created with this whole scenario, I think, and again, I speak as a very retarded person, okay? I want to qualify myself. I'm a very retarded person. I'm a retard with a microphone. But I do believe that the overwhelming majority of the issue with this particular situation, because we've heard in the past, oh, well, Trump threatened to bomb this person, or Trump has bombed this, or Trump took out this leader and no one got upset. The major issue that many people have with this particular conflict is the direct involvement of Israel. That is the big issue that the majority of people have. It's the direct involvement of Israel, and that's what's causing so many people to question what all is going on. And that's just my opinion based on what I've seen. Because, yes, we've seen other situations where Trump has, gotten involved and taken out leaders and things like that. But this one, the conversation and the narrative is a little bit different. And so anyway, that's my take on it right there. So we are 19 minutes away from President Trump addressing the nation. Let me see if there's any more updates right now. Our poll is still showing 60-40. 60-40. What is this? United States bombed the crown jewel of Iran's nuclear program, according to Fox News.
Jennifer Griffin is live at the Pentagon. Let's bring Jennifer in. Jennifer, we're just getting word, obviously, with the president's announcement, what this looks like.
Well, Brett, we knew that there was something afoot this morning
I think
we
we listened to this one
heard that
earlier.
there were 6 B-2 bombers that had been seen leaving Whiteman Air Force Base last night at midnight. And so those planes, we were told, were heading towards Guam. Now, Guam would have been an 18-hour flight into Iran. So it is likely that it was a different set of B-2 bombers that were used to bomb the sites, the 3 sites that the president.
Aaron James says he recommends I do a post-Trump address poll. That's a very good idea, Aaron James. So we will do a post-Trump address poll to see how that poll shakes out. So right now we're at 60-40.
The president mentioned tonight on Truth Social, that is the Fordo complex, which we've been watching all week. That is the massive main, sort of what's known as the heart or the crown jewel of Iran's nuclear program. It's underneath that mountain just outside of Qom, which is 2 hours south of Tehran. That complex, we understand, has been bombed by those U.S. B-2 bombers tonight. Also, Isfahan, as well as Natanz.
I saw we had Zevin Cross for a $100 super chat. Woo! Thank you, Zevin Cross. I just joined. Did Trump really bomb Iran? Look, I'm going to be honest. I absolutely don't like the decision. Trump should have stayed out of that fight. Now you're going to get leftists saying things like, oh, I thought he was the peace leader. What happened, huh? Or some shit. I do agree with that. But I also it's a slippery slope. So I think things like him and Elon Musk getting into a public spat, I think those are the things that we should look at and go, don't give the left ammunition. That's just an easy layout for the left to go after. When it comes to stuff like this, if we're taking it on face value that they were close to having a nuclear weapon, they were not willing to negotiate, and so Trump took action after a long negotiation process that fell flat. If we're looking at it from that perspective, you can't make decisions based off what the left is going to say at that point in time, because it's really beyond that. And the left is going to cry and screech and cry no matter what. So this type of situation, I don't think the left's reaction to it should matter at all. But I do believe that stuff like him and Elon Musk having a public fight, yeah, you should take into the account that maybe you guys should handle this behind the scenes, because the left is going to take this and run with it. But I understand what you're saying. I appreciate the super chat, brother.
Had another underground facility. Remember, before Fordo was built in 2006, Natanz had been the main enrichment site. It was also built underground. Israeli jets had been targeting it in the last week, but they had not been able to penetrate underground. So those U.S. B-2 bombers, which flew out of Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri, they would have taken out that underground facility. Natanz is interesting. You'll remember, Brett, it was the site of the Stuxnet virus, the cyber attack on those centrifuges years ago. But again, it was back up and running. And what is surprising, I think, tonight is that the president announced that it was not one site, but 3 underground sites and sites inside Iran's nuclear program that were struck by the U.S. Air Force tonight.
So there you go with that. So I want to make sure we have, because I do have the Fox Now feed up, but I want to hear what I think Right Side is definitely going to have a good feed, and they usually have good audio as well. So I want to pull their feed up, because I know they're going to go directly to it when President Trump speaks.
Very successful attack.
So we are about 15 minutes away from President Trump addressing the nation. It will be covered here live. And, like I said, I appreciate everybody being here. We have a very divided audience on this, which I do understand. And that makes total sense. So right now, the poll, I'm going to end the poll. The poll is over 4,000 votes, and it's at 60-40. We're going to run that poll again after the address, and we're going to see if that changed any minds after we hear the direct address from President Donald Trump. So, news is wild right now. The back and forth is everywhere, and people are freaking out, to say the least. So on the premise, what we have is Iran, who has been in negotiations with the United States and President Trump. Trump gave them 60 days. That 60 days came and passed. Iran has not wanted to, I guess it doesn't look like they've wanted to negotiate. And so Trump, about 3 days ago, gave them 2 weeks. But within 3 days, he decided to strike. According to reports, Trump basically decided that there was no way that there was going to be a negotiation, that Iran wasn't working with him. And so he has bombed 3 of their nuclear facilities. And Iran has now responded and said that they are going to target United States troops that are currently in the region. And I think that would be a very bad decision by them, but it also will not reflect very well on President Trump if United States soldiers are harmed at all. As it stands, based on the information that we have right now, I don't believe that any United States soldiers have been hurt or affected by this. The operation was carried out quickly, and all soldiers that were involved are safe, to my understanding. So we're just going to have to see what ultimately plays out. And we're going to hear directly from President Trump in about 10 minutes. Now, we do have warmonger Mark Levin right here. Let's hear what warmonger Mark Levin has to say.
America, don't you feel relief? Of course you feel relief.
I already don't care. Just hearing his voice. I don't know much about Mark Levin, but I know he's a warmonger, and I already don't care.
Because these Islamo-Nazis were building nuclear weapons to attack us too, with intercontinental ballistic missiles. Guess what? You can go to bed peacefully tonight. No, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Not because of Obama, not because of Biden, not because of the Democrats, not because of some Republicans, because of Donald Trump.
Good Lord. If nails on a chalkboard was a person, it might be that guy right there. If nails on a chalkboard was a person. Yikes. So yeah, as I said earlier, this to me is what we're seeing on Twitter right now. Everyone is an expert on foreign policy right now. Everyone. Even the people that have completely different opinions on this, they are all experts on foreign policy right now. And so it's pretty wild. It's a good fun time right now. What's not fun is that our troops could be in danger, and that's my primary concern right now. I don't want our troops in danger. That is the number one concern that I have. That is the number one concern that I care about. And so that's the thing that I am more hyper-focused on than anything. I don't want our troops harmed. I don't want it. So, let's see. So it was B-2 bombers were involved in the strikes in Iran's nuclear sites. Yes, I saw that earlier. Let me catch a few of these super chats really quickly. Thank you guys for being patient while I'm trying to get through all of this insane support tonight. Let's see. Peter Frazee for 20 says, I find it insane that people are trying to defend Islamic countries that do nothing but rape and pillage. They are murdering cults, and they're murdered cults and destroying countries within. Their crusades didn't finish the job. Yeah, I mean, like I said, man, there's a lot of different opinions on this, and you're not going to find a consensus across the board. However, when I did the poll here in this chat, I was surprised at 60%. Now, again, we have a predominantly, historically pro-Trump audience here for sure. but I felt like it was going to be more like 50-50, especially with the viewer bump that we're having. But it was 60-40 right now. And then as soon as Trump does his address, we're going to do another to see if that shifted anybody's opinion on this. Because before all of this, I said, do you support America getting involved with this Iran conflict? And it was 90-10 on this channel. No. 90-10 no. And so now here we are with it happening, and we're going to have to see what ultimately comes from this with President Trump's address. Vault 95 says Saturday Night Cobra Cast. What? Cobra live now. What? I wasn't planning on being live, but we had I was out and about. I'm not even in town right now, and I'm not at home anyway, I'll say. And so when this all happened, I was like, oh my gosh, is this really happening right now? And of course, it was really happening. And so I dropped all of my plans and decided we got to cover this. It's crazy. I got tagged on so many people. People were tagging me like crazy on Twitter, which I do appreciate. The Under Armour Gamer says, just got here. Can I get a recap? I just did a recap like 5 minutes ago. If you just go back a few minutes, I literally just did a full recap of everything. But ultimately, President Trump is about to address the nation after announcing that we have bombed 3 different nuclear sites in Iran. And it was a precise operation. It was an in and out process. And now the internet has reacted, and it is panic across Twitter. And we're going to hear from the commander-in-chief himself so we can get more details on all of this. So let's see. 3 for 20, says Jerry. I was 20 during the 66 hostages and 444 days by Iranians. 9 military died in failed rescue. Surrendered the day of Reagan inauguration. We should have addressed them then. I'll never get why not. Thank you, 3, and you're part of the 15% of the female audience that we have. So I do appreciate it. Yes, a few women do watch this channel. So thank you for the 20. I do appreciate it. And I'm pretty sure 3 is taken, chat. So calm down. All right. Calm down, chat. Celebrity Jeremy for 50 says, it feels that we are being put in 2 camps. You're either a Zionist shill or Israel, or for Israel, or you're anti-Semitic, which is totally false. The Islamist regime is a terrorist death cult that has no business having nuclear material or weapons, period. Sadly, you're right. But this is the internet, and this is what happens on the internet. The internet nuance does not exist on the internet. It just doesn't. So you're either this or you're that. And there's no in between on the internet. And that's just part of it. There's the very few level-headed thinking people when they're arguing. And I'm one of them too, by the way. I'm one of the internet retards that just argues and, makes blanket claims and all of that. So, but yeah, it is weird. That's what, the accusations that I've been facing the last, couple of weeks. I've just memed on it because that's literally all you can do is meme on it. Joey Giggles for 20 says, F this, man. I don't want any of this. I'm too close to New York City to die for this bullshit. I have old Republican in-laws who wanted this. We aren't the same. No boots on the ground. F Israel and Iran. This isn't our war. Keep our people safe. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. And we all have to pray for safety for sure. Adrian for 10 says, why do I only watch shows with mostly male audience? Am I a transformer? We all love Adrian Curry here. Thank you. You always give me credibility when you show up in my chat. People see you comment. They're like, Adrian Curry watches this fucking retard? And I'm like, hell yes, she does. And then I have a little more credibility. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Defending Truth says the new poll should be based on a scale from Mark Levin to Jeremy to Nick Fuentes. Remember, this is a hill you may literally die on, so choose wisely. Yeah, I mean, I definitely guess I would be in the middle of that, but I wouldn't. I would put Ben Shapiro to Nick Fuentes as kind of like the polar opposite. And of course, little Ben Shapiro ran from Nick Fuentes when Nick Fuentes wanted to debate him, which I thought was super funny. So little Ben, you know, I gotta say, you know, I don't break news around here. Okay. I do not break news, but I will say that I have it on good authority that Ben Shapiro has not had a boner like this since he saw his sister's tits for the first time. Ben Shapiro is so happy we are at war. He is so happy. Little Ben Shapiro, he is beside himself. Little Ben, he is just, he is so excited. So we do appreciate his sister, though. We appreciate her. She's got a couple of great things going for her.
Congratulations, President Trump.
Uh-oh.
Your bold decision to target Iran's nuclear facilities with the awesome and righteous might of the United States will change history. In Operation Rising Lion, Israel has done truly amazing things. But in tonight's action against Iran's nuclear facilities, America has been truly unsurpassed. It has done what no other country on earth could do. History will record that President Trump acted to deny the world's most dangerous regime the world's most dangerous weapons. His leadership today has created a pivot of history that can help lead the Middle East and beyond to a future of prosperity and peace. President Trump and I often say, peace through strength. First comes strength, then comes peace. And tonight, President Trump and the United States acted with a lot of strength. President Trump, I thank you. The people of Israel thank you. The forces of civilization thank you. God bless America. God bless Israel. And may God bless our unshakable alliance, our unbreakable faith.
The leader of Israel within the past 2 hours with that speech there from.
Oh, so that was her. I didn't even know. So I guess I didn't even know. I thought that was live. So that was like a while back. I didn't even know that. So, okay. So President Trump is set to go live any minute now. The President Trump just tweeted out the live feed. So I'm keeping an eye on that live feed right now. So we are currently any minute now going to hear from the 47th President of the United States of America about what happened today, President Donald John Trump.
The 10 o'clock hour, the top of the hour, Saturday, June 21st. And I started the broadcast by saying that this is the 24/7 news cycle kicking into high gear. This is going to be one of those things that we'll be monitoring and figuring out what's next. What will happen? Will there be a retaliation from Iran? What will that look like? So I'm not going to get into speculation. I don't have any live military guests on right now, any of that kind of thing. This is not opinion editorial. This is the facts of what happened today, and we're about to hear from the President of the United States. This will be, of course, live to the nation. This will be an address that the President spoke about at 8:03 Eastern, saying specifically, I will be giving an address to the nation at 10 o'clock.
So again, as soon as the address from Trump is over, I want to put a poll in the chat again. And I want to gauge the reaction based on Trump's address to the nation, because I do think that that's going to be interesting. Will it, so we ended at 59-40, 60, whatever, 60-40. So we ended 60-40. And then it'll be interesting to see if Trump and his response actually gets people shifted in another direction. We'll see. And so we are currently waiting right now for them to take us live
Eastern. Then now we know it's the East Room of the White House, not the Oval Office. The President will come out. As soon as we see those doors open way in the back, we will be taking it live right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. This speech is going to be something played. I thought the soundbite from Carolyn Levitt the other day about the quote that President Trump talked about when it comes to that within 2 weeks will be the decision to go, or not when it comes to Iran. We know that now has happened. Again, the next question is what kind of retaliation will happen from Iran? Will there be a retaliation?
They must be on a delay, so I'm going here.
Thank you very much. A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime, Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin-Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, so there is President Trump's address to the nation. And he obviously had Vice President Vance there, Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, and the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth there. So now I'm going to put the poll in the chat and see if that changed anyone's minds. There was not a ton of detail there outside of the fact is it comes down to one thing and one thing only. Do you believe what Trump is saying? That's it. And again, this is one of the things that a lot of people forget. He did campaign on Iran not having a nuclear weapon. He did campaign on that. You can pretend that he didn't, but he did. My question is, why did we get involved after Israel got involved, which isn't a great look? So, but I don't think that his address is necessarily going to shift anybody's opinion on this at all. But of course, the usual suspects are out now because, of course, AOC is now calling for President Trump to be impeached based on this. So AOC calling for President Trump to be impeached. So there you go. A grave violation of the Constitution and congressional war powers, according to AOC. Of course she is. And it's absolutely hilarious. Here we go. So right now the poll is at 63% to 37%. So a bit of an uptick from last time. We have a few more people watching as well. Now, Thomas Massey says that the U.S. strikes on Iran are not constitutional. So Trump is getting a lot of heat from a lot of different people right now. It looks like Iran, let me see if I can find this one. Let me see. Where's it at? I just saw a tweet that I wanted to show you guys. If I can find it. It's from Raw's Alerts, whatever their fucking name is. Raw's Alerts. Okay. So it says that Iran has announced that it will pursue legal action against the United States of America. Legal action. I don't even know what that means. Like, I'm going to sue you? Like, I don't even, what? I'm going to sue you. Okay, that's just fucking funny, dude. Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? I'm gonna get Johnny Cochran out of the grave, and we're gonna sue you. If the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. Like, I don't even know what we're doing here. Like, so let's see. This is just in. So President Trump says, if peace does not come quickly, we will go after other targets in Iran with precision, speed, and skill. So again, I will recap that this is Twitter right now. Everyone is somewhat of a foreign policy expert at this particular moment in time. Has anybody got that? It was a pretty short speech. I figured Trump was going to talk a little bit longer, but yeah, it was pretty short, sweet, and to the point. I expected Trump to say a lot more, but that is not what happened. What was that? Like a minute, 2 minutes tops, something like that. So typical straight to the point, I guess, in these moments. Usually, though, Trump likes to add more to it, I guess. So I guess it's not typical. Let me see. This is earlier. And so Steve Bannon, I think this is an interesting point.
There are a lot of MAGA that's not happy about this. I'll just be blunt. We can tell this in the chats right now. I think John's trying to come in. John Solomon's trying to join us. The president's got to, make the address. I also think he's got to talk to MAGA. There are a lot of MAGA that's not happy about this. I'll just be blunt. We can tell this in the chats right now. There are a lot of the chats that are just saying, hey, I hear you, but, you promised you wouldn't do this. I hear your thing, and maybe they didn't negotiate. So I do think, as I said, I believe he will get MAGA on board.
The bot army yes men are annoying, D-Day Cobra. They don't have the balls to super chat you. How they feel, none of them. Nope. I personally, if you're mad, I personally think your opinion is far more valid if you send a super chat. Like, it means a lot more to me if you send me a super chat to tell me how angry you are. I mean, it really goes a long way. It goes a long way. It really can help. So the more money you send, the more effective your anger will be. So I'm just trying to help you out. I'm a nice guy. Most YouTubers would never help you with sending them a super chat. I am a really nice guy. And I'm just saying, like, if you want to send me a super chat, it helps for me to understand your anger. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
All of it, but he's got to explain exactly and go through this. And remember, I said today, the party is on, using that World War II phrase. Who's going to host it? And early in the evening, we were hoping and working with people and saying, hey, maybe Israel is going to step up here. I think a big question is going to be why Israel did not take the lead and do this. Because right now, this is back to the United States. And I understand maybe we could get Fordo, but I think that's got to be explained. Israel did not finish what they started. That's the bottom line. And I'm telling you, a lot of people I know that are Israel supporters are going to say, why are we doing the heavy lift here? And why are we engaging in combat operations in a war that's a war of choice?
I do agree with him. A lot of MAGA is not happy about these actions, but I do feel that, man, there's so many different perspectives with this, and there's so many different people's. Like, I saw today this report that JD Vance 100% is against America getting involved, and he feels that Israel is dragging us into this. That was from Reuters. I don't know if that's true or not, but I've heard reports from Reuters for the past week that turned out to not be true. I heard reports from Axios that turned out to not be true. And I saw people running with that JD Vance quote. And I can't imagine that JD Vance would have said something like that for the media to have access to. I can't imagine that he would do that. Now, again, if it happened, it happened. But Reuters is not like a place that I'm going to trust at all. Not even close. Let me see. So Dave Smith is mad. Donald Trump has now launched an illegal war of aggression against Iran. The risk of an absolute catastrophe is very high, and the benefits are non-existent. Worst of all, he did it on behalf of a foreign government against a country who opposed no threat to us. I don't know how you can say that the benefits are non-existent if, again, are you saying that Iran had that they were not building a nuclear weapon? Like, how do you know that, Dave Smith? Like, that is a question. Like, do you know that for sure? Dave Smith, do you know that Iran was not close to having a nuke? Because it's, again, I go back to this. I'm something of a foreign policy expert myself. How do you know that? Where are you getting this information from? That's all I want to know, because that's essentially what you would be saying. But we're going to be seeing that a lot. I mean, this is a guy who, called for Trump to be impeached like 2 weeks ago, after voting for him. And that was after calling him a war criminal years ago. So, either way, let me see. All right. So I don't see a lot of updates right now. Everybody's just kind of running with the Trump's address to the nation right now. And let me see. All right. You guys have been crazy tonight. I appreciate the support. Daniel for 20 says it's eerie how history repeats itself. Big picture, this era is no different than the Gilded Age politics or the Golden Age politics of 140 to 50 years ago, prior to World War I. Thank you for the 20. I appreciate it. Zero the Hero says, remember when Trump bombed an empty airfield in Syria? This is similar. Trump has been consistent about Iran not getting nukes. No invasion, no war, just like Syria. The gays will cry about it, then forget about it in a week. Yeah, I mean, I think the Israel thing is what's throwing a lot of people off. And I do understand the concern on that. And again, I'm not even somebody that paid attention to the Israel shit until Netflix Yahoo started to lobby to the American people why we need to be involved. And at that point in time, I'm like, why are you talking to the American people about getting involved? I don't know who you are. I don't give a shit about you. Why are you talking to the American people about this? And that's where the red flag went up with me. I'm like, why is this guy talking to the American people? It was reminiscent of our Blockbuster Video guy. Why am I drawing it? Zelensky. It was reminiscent of Blockbuster Video guy. lobbying to the American people to help give me money, blah, 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 blah. And I didn't like that. So, let's see. Jeremy is getting red pilled and it's dangerous for him. Fuck off. I hate when people think that I'm like going to like start agreeing with you. It's the most beta fucking mentality I've ever seen in my life. So somebody the other day did that. It's the condescending way, like right here. So I tweeted this out and I said, I don't disagree. I trust President Trump. I don't trust Netflix Yahoo. And then I had this guy, this condescending asshole goes, for once, you're starting to wake up. Let me translate. For once, you said something I agree with. That's essentially what he's saying. For once, you said something I agree with. So here in the end, he's like, blah, 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 blah. I hope for you yet. Unlike some of you in that bunch. And my response was like, fuck off. Like, I don't care to be on your side. I'm not going to be on your side, because if you are a weak beta male that needs me to agree with you, and that makes you feel good because I said something that you might agree with, I'm one opinion from you jumping off that ship anyway. So don't think that I'm almost where you need me to be, because I know you're the type of person that will jump off ship as soon as I say something you don't agree with. And the reality of the world that we live in is there is not another human being on the planet that anyone agrees with 100% of the time. There isn't. It's not realistic. We live in a world with people have different opinions, and people argue and people fight and people debate. Only weak-minded beta males need everyone to agree with them because it makes them feel more secure. And I'm not like that. I don't need people to agree with me and like every opinion that I have. Maybe you do, I don't. But I am somewhat of a foreign policy expert myself. Someone said, I agree with me 100%. That's how it should be right there. But yeah, anytime somebody comes with that condescending attitude of like, he's starting to figure it out, guys. No, I'm not. I'm not starting to figure shit out. You just found something that I said that you finally fucking liked. That's your problem, not mine. It's just like pronouns. Your pronouns are not my fucking problem. It's yours. You have a mental illness. I don't. Saturn Dreaming of Mercury for 20 says, so he himself acknowledged Iran may yet continue to attack. And this time they could attack us. It's true. But I have to imagine that we've put things in place to avoid anything like that. I really, really do. So let me see. Benna says, you just said you had no idea about Israel and you don't care. I know, but you thought that I was waking up. Guess what? I'm not. I am a retard. Okay. I'm a low level grifter who clickbaits and begs for super chats. Okay. There's really nothing you can say about me that my chat already doesn't. That's the beauty of the snake pit. They insult me more than the people that hate me do. So when you come in here as a hater and insult me, my chat has already said something worse. So your insults me nothing. Get good. Say something like that actually matters. Brock. Netflix Yahoo glazing is gross. I agree completely. Dude, so many people have been so confused on when I say Netflix Yahoo. But yeah, that's the Israeli prime minister, Netflix Yahoo. That's his name. He is a mall kiosk guy. I don't like him. I don't trust him. And, I don't want anything to do with him because he seems like a legitimate used car salesman. He really does. RH Diver says chat is full of retards today. Packy Proton says Valiant R needs a signed person, muted and gay. Smeeky says muted. Pippi with those 5 gifted memberships. Thank you. Little Jim's Ringo Halo says for the Mossad Fund, still don't get the name. Let's see. Pika says Trump best neocon Rhino Bush clone president. Gunslinger says, am I late for World War III? Not yet. Donald Herb says, at the end of the day, if peace was true and Iran didn't want to play, you have to use strength. Not saying it's good, but peace through strength does require strength. I'm no expert, so I guess ignore me. I mean, I do. Yeah. Again, I do agree with the premise of what you're saying. Wizard Man says this is going to be a BS explanation from Trump. It was pretty par for the course. Like, that was not a Trump level. That was not a very Trumpian response. That was not the Trump response I was expecting. But we do have almost 5,000 votes, and he has increased by 3%. So he's increased by 3%. Philip Beller says the uranium could be anywhere. Mark of Reality says, welcome to the party. Donald J. Trump has never been anti-war. He's been anti-forever war. Attack, yes. Invade, nation build, heck no. I do agree with that. The level-headed takes on Twitter, though, are going to tell you completely something else. So let me see right here. So this was photos from the Situation Room right there from President Trump and his team. Benjamin Loken says 10 p.m. EST. Yeah, I got that wrong earlier. Sean Living Live says folks already turning on Trump and calling him Bush. Don't be a panicking. Seriously, Trump isn't a warmonger or a neocon. 100% he's not. But that's the nature of the internet, man. Philip Butler says Jimmy Carter attacked in 1980, got ass kicked back. Free Men Die Free says the U.S. empire in Israel will fail or will fall if this escalates. The economic factors of another war will bring the U.S. to its knees. Nukes aren't the real concern. Jim says, I'm very disappointed and not agreeing with this. Emerald Eye says, here's hoping this was nothing but a pimp slap and a sit down bish. You're not that guy. And that will be the end of it. No boots in the sand, none. I agree. I stand with you on that. No boots on the ground. That's what I want. I don't know if I feel confident that won't happen. I really don't. Let's see here. I'm seeing if we have any updates right now. Is this so? Yemen is ready to attack all American ships and warships in the Red Sea. So this is the effect that's happening right now, man. This is getting ugly. This is getting real freaking ugly right now. So let me see. We got that. Is this it? There's no way that's it. Is this it? Is this really it? Is this really one of the strikes? I saw Clay Travis tweeted this out, so that's where I got it from right here. So I don't know if it's legit or not. But that's where I got it from. Let's see. Let me go back to Fox now. Are they still live? They are still live. Let's see what they have to say.
Some were saying, and nobody was wanting to disabuse them of that because nobody was going to say exactly when they're going to do it.
Yeah.
But if you want to believe 2 weeks, you can. So the Iranians, I think, were pretty much caught off guard. They didn't expect this to happen when it happened, which is if you're a big military strike, that's what you want. So, it was very. I got to tell you, I'm with you. This was very well executed, very well done. They achieved what they were trying to achieve, which is they caught the Iranians off guard, and of course, the airspace has to be completely coordinated with the Israelis. So, you knew that was going to have to be a very integrated sort of approach, regardless. By the way, I would mention the Israelis also hit the F-14s. All right. So now, look, Iran doesn't have much in the way of fighter aircraft, and those F-14s are really old. They can't do much. But these are B-2 bombers. their whole thing is stealth. And if an F-14 was to get in the air, was to find some way to get into proximity of a B-2 bomber, there is a potential threat that they could pose.
Just for the people that say, that Trump's not being consistent, this is from 2011. Iran's quest for nuclear weapons is a major threat to our nation's national security interest. We can't allow Iran to go nuclear. This is in 2011, just to be clear. All right, 2011 from Donald Trump.
Of the bunker bomb strategy there. So you just heard the president saying that Iran's key nuclear sites were, quote unquote, completely and fully obliterated by U.S. strikes. Trump made the comments you just heard at the White House tonight, hours after announcing the U.S. military had carried out strikes against 3 key nuclear facilities in Iran. The president also warned Iran against carrying out retaliatory attacks against the U.S., saying Iran has the choice between peace or tragedy. So this is a breaking news update, as you know. Also, Iran's nuclear agency on Sunday, it's Sunday in Iran, confirming attacks took place on its Fordo, Isfahan, and Natanz atomic sites, but is insisting that its work will not be stopped. The Atomic Energy Organization of Iran issued that statement after President Trump announced the American attack on the facilities here. So there is confirmation from Iran that there was actual targets that were struck by the United States. Their state-run news agency, IRNA, reported early Sunday the attacks targeted the country's Isfahan and Natanz nuclear sites. The IRNA quoted an individual by the name of Akbar Salehi, that's Isfahan's deputy governor in charge of security affairs, saying there had been attacks around the sites, though he did not elaborate. Another official confirmed an attack targeting Iran's underground Fordo nuclear site here. So in the meantime, we do want to bring in more voices to the conversation, including my friend there at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, David Dawood. He's going to join us in just a moment here.
Okay, so just wanted to hear what they had to say during that. And I'm just seeing if there's any more breaking news right now. And there's not a lot at the moment. So President Trump's full address to the nation was about 3.5 minutes. So that's being reposted all over social media right now. So about 3.5 minutes. Let's see, look at that one. Now we're back to like New York Times basically has says the United States has officially entered war with Iran. I don't know if we've officially entered war with Iran, but I guess Trump has responded and bombed their nuclear sites. I guess depending on Iran's response is where we go from here. Are they going to stand down or are they going to respond? I don't really know, man, because I've seen a lot of the social media response from Iran, and I can't tell if these are real accounts anymore with like the Iran military and a lot of the videos that we've been seeing and a lot of the threats they've been making. I have no idea. So unfortunately we're in a wait and see situation. Now we do have very level-headed individuals like AOC calling for the impeachment of President Trump, citing a pattern of dangerous and unconstitutional behavior, as well as serious concerns over his recent actions in office. So AOC is now asking for that. Now, this is shocking. This is shocking because I have never heard AOC complain about President Trump. This is the first time that I've ever heard AOC complain about President Trump. So we should take this very, very seriously. This is a very serious situation when AOC is complaining about Trump, because I've never heard her say anything bad about President Trump ever. So this is where credibility comes into the situation. As I've said many times, if someone has been crying about President Trump nonstop for the last decade, then you shouldn't take their concerns seriously. But someone like AOC has never complained about President Trump, and she's always had a very level head. So when she starts, oh, that's right, never mind. I got it in reverse. Never mind. Forget what I said. Yeah, AOC's had TDS for 10 years. Forget what I said. Never mind. Never mind. I forgot. My bad. Somebody said, would I? Yes, of course I would. Of course. Like, I know there's like some tryhards in the chat and they're like, I would not. Dude. Yes, you would. Yes, you would. Okay. Yes, you would. Don't even do that. Okay. You absolutely would. All right. So, President Trump just tweeted this out, the American flag. And there it is. So he's been pretty active on Twitter. Shockingly enough, Accident Seller says all the goats radioactive now. Please answer. Asking for unmarried Iranian man. Ministry of Wrong Think says one of two. I already calmed down and prepped earlier today by Laura Loomer after I watched her interview with Tim Pool. I don't agree with everything she says, but she made a great point about Trump already doing strikes in Yemen, Syria, dropped the FOAB on ISIS without sending in more troops, and all of MAGA praising him for it. Don't listen to MAGA tourists. Well, that is true. Trump has dropped bombs several times and no one's had a problem with it. And now because of this, everybody's freaking out and going crazy. And again, I think the Israel element is what's got a lot of people upset about it. And that's coming from people that have followed a lot of that stuff. I've never really followed a lot of that stuff, but even me with Netflix Yahoo trying to get involved in the whole situation, that was a big turnoff to me, is like this mall kiosk guy getting involved and trying to convince us why we should be involved. It's weird. Adrian T says the IQ of this chat is just laughable. Well, Adrian, I don't know if you're new here or not. You are a member, but we get a lot of gifted memberships. But if you think the IQ of the chat is laughable, wait till you hear the host talk. Okay? Wait till you hear the host talk. Thank you, Ministry of Wrong Think. I appreciate it, brother. Sam Bear says that briefings like that are common. They did the exact same briefings when bin Laden was killed. JRG Project says just this morning, Joey Jones on Fox News said these recent events are similar to the recent Top Gun movie in both target and the way it was taken out. I personally like to think it's a B-2 doing a Death Star trench run. I did hear that, by the way. Let's see. Adrian, thank you for becoming a new member. I appreciate it. So we just got $100 super chat from Dimes Recon. I'm neither happy or angry. My peers, the dudes that were on the streets of Baghdad and in the hills of Afghanistan day and night, tend to not be the pro anti-keyboard warrior types. Go to the gym, you all, and get the emo out. Thanks, D-Day. Best analyst on YouTube. Well, thank you. I appreciate it, brother. Look, man, I'm only good at what I do because the chat is awesome, and I've been fortunate enough to watch enough retarded people on YouTube make a fool of themselves. So I try not to, like, I'm not really an emotional guy. I can get fired up every now and then, like anyone. Okay, I take that back. Fuck Mario Kart, because when I'm playing that game, I get very emotional, okay? I'm a little bit emotionally unhinged when I get hit with a blue shell when I've been leading the whole race. It's bullshit. But when it comes to other things, I try to keep, a level head. Yeah, we've seen you in Mario. So, but yeah. But like with this, like I've watched like people just go crazy over this, and I'm just like, give it time. The social media age has changed the way we look at media, the things that we know, the things we hear, the opinions that we get from people. And yeah, it's been a crazy kind of couple of weeks now, man. So, yeah, outside of Mario Kart, very level-headed. So, But thank you. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the $100 super chat. Okay, hang on. Okay. You took it too far, bro. Okay. The question was, would you with AOC? You took it too far, bro. I didn't ask about reproducing with AOC. That is off. That's off the table. Okay. Negotiations are over. Negotiations are over. You go to horny jail. All right. All right. Cole Hauser says the U.S. is the only country with logistics. Also, Russia is notified when the U.S. does a missile test. They would have known when the B-52s left, as they want to make sure there is no confusion. What's up, Cole Hauser? Good to see you, brother. The Ben Deuce says, funny thing I heard before Trump won with House, a guy channeling an alien said, if Kamala won, we get UFO disclosure and meet the aliens. If Trump won, World War III starts. So I'm shifting to a new reality. See ya. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Kevin says, this was Iran's find out moment. Let's hope so. Let's hope so. I'm trying to keep an eye on my feed as I go through these super chats, and I do appreciate you guys. Let's see. So right now, do I still have the poll up in the chat, by the way? Okay. So the poll has almost over 5,000 votes. And honestly, the poll right here that I've put in this chat, I think this represents what I'm seeing on social media with people responding. I'm seeing about a 60% to 40% split in people that are supportive of this decision. It's probably not as high as Trump would want it to be, but it's not as low as I maybe thought it would be based on what the previous things we were saying. So I'm going to end this now. So we ended at 63-37, a small increase for President Trump before and after his speech. So like right here, this is at 58-41. It's got 11,000 votes. This is kind of similar to some of the other ones I've seen. So yeah. It does kind of seem like that's around the area. 60-40 is the split that I'm seeing generally right now. And that's it's a pretty interesting dynamic, to say the least. So let's see. I don't know. A lot of people are posting that. There ain't no way. Oh, okay. As soon as I clicked on the picture, I saw it. It's not real, but it does look good. It wouldn't have surprised me if Trump had Raising Cane's in there, but he did mention General Raising Cane. He loves mentioning General Raising Cane. Sky News is reporting that the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem will be a target during Iran's anticipated counterstrike. Sky News reporting that. So I guess we'll see. If, again, the problem with the Iran counterstrikes is Iran is full of shit for a lot of the stuff that they say. So it's hard to determine if a lot of that stuff is real or not. So look at here. Now, I think this is a real picture. Again, chat, I'm going to need your help with this. But if you guys can help me, is this a real picture? It's probably a real picture. That's a pretty tough situation. I can't imagine that he can breathe in that situation. I can't imagine he's able to breathe. I mean, hopefully he didn't take any fentanyl before that moment. Hopefully no fentanyl was taken. It should be fine. Shouldn't be a problem. Shouldn't be a problem. Not going to worry about it. Nobody's dumb enough to take fentanyl and then resist arrest. What am I talking about? Nobody's that dumb. I wouldn't worry about it. All right. President Trump on True Social, any retaliation by Iran against the United States of America will be met with force far greater than what was witnessed tonight. Thank you, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. Holy shit, he is not fucking around. He is not messing around. There it is right there. Damn. Let's see here. Okay. And Rapid Response 47 just put that out as well. So Brian Barlow says Jeremy is a better hype man than that Yahoo guy. Thank you. I appreciate it. Hayden Wayne for 20. That was when we were under direct threat. We haven't been now. We also didn't have open borders for 4 years before an airstrike. Iran always retaliates in some way. I hope not this time. I still don't like what this could set up. I don't disagree with anything you're saying right there. I really don't. And I take somebody like Hayden's criticisms very much to heart because I know he's a Trump supporter. Like I said, if you're a Trump supporter and you're very unhappy with Trump's actions, or if you have issues, I'm serious. I think your concerns are more valid than somebody that's been hating Trump for the past 10 years and foaming at the mouth of everything he's ever done. Because I don't take you seriously because you've been foaming at the mouth at every decision the man's made up to this point. So why should I take you seriously now? But somebody like Hayden and other people, like I said, Tucker Carlson, I think Tucker Carlson's criticisms have been very valid up to this point. And Matthew says you're dealing with a man with 32 felonies. That's why I voted for him. That's exactly why I voted for him. Him and his 32 felonies, baby. Let's go. What is this? Okay. So U.S. president warns Iran. I got that one. Holy crap. Sorry, I got my news. My feed is interesting. Okay. My feed is interesting. This is what I'm seeing. That's why I got distracted. Okay. Is this appropriate attire for grocery shopping? I think so. I think that's very appropriate. So, okay. Sorry. I got to focus. There's more important things going on right now. So, all right. Is this, let's see what Alex Jones is saying right now. Is Alex Jones live? Alex Jones is live.
And control component. MK Ultra was just a larger group name, MK Naomi.
Oh, I don't think this is live. Like, I think that he has like a constant live feed. Yeah. So this is what he said. Was this yesterday?
The ignorance. How many times have I broken news before anybody else? How many times have I been right? I told you 15 years ago, I learned directly from the people that saw the evidence in CENTCOM that they've got ground sensors, let's just leave it at that are in Iran. They can drive around and fly around and scoop up everything in the air and know what level of uranium enrichment and other things they're enriching, other radioactive compounds, fissile material. And then I made calls and talked to people over the years, and they're like, yeah, how do you know that? You're not supposed to know that. So when you got Netanyahu 25 years ago saying they're 2 weeks away, they weren't really 2 weeks away, but within 15 years ago, they got it. And now you see the CIA going, oh, Mr. President, if you go to full war with them, they'll go ahead and finish their bomb. Then Mossad said today they're 2 weeks again out. So the Iranians didn't go the route of North Korea bragging they got nukes and showing it off. They've had them for a long time. And people go, well, wait, you're now saying Israel should strike them when they got a bomb. No, that's why they shouldn't. The same reason we don't attack North Korea. We can beat them in a nuclear war, but everybody loses and it creates a chain reaction. Tulsi's great. She's going off the official assessment she's got. She's only been in there, like 80, 90 days or whatever. And she's going off official assessment she has, not off all the hidden intel. Official assessments of the worst information there is. So when Trump says Tulsi's wrong, they're building a bomb and they're about to have it. No, they got it. And they demonstrated last year that they can hit Israel and get through their defenses with those ballistic missiles. It means they can hit them with a bomb. Israel's argument is take them out then. No, you don't do that. because if you put them against the wall, they'll launch their atomic weapons, and Israel will obliterate them with better, more high-tech systems they've had since the 60s, but it won't matter. It's like the War Games movie from the 80s, a strange game. Only way to win is not to play. Only way to win is not to play. So that's where we are. And again, this is out of control. I'm glad Trump put a 2-week moratorium on striking Iran.
Well, again, so this was yesterday. But Alex Jones has just retweeted this as things happen today.
Iran's very belligerent because they can block Strait of Hormuz and drive up oil prices massively and tank the world economy and kill Trump's recovery. So I don't know what we should specifically do, but everybody should take a deep breath here that's got war fever and just understand this is dangerous. Bannon literally doesn't brag about it, but it's admitted from sources that's what happened. He went in there.
I got to show you this because I think this is very much this speaks volumes, and this just show you the type of support that President Trump has right now. Greg Abbott says, "I stand with Donald Trump and the United States of America." Greg Abbott says he stands with President Trump. Breaking news. Good job, Greg Abbott. That's huge. Congratulations, brother.
And talked Trump down yesterday from striking him basically today. So we need more of what Bannon did and less of what Netanyahu's pushing. I don't want Israel to be blown off the map. I don't have some existential hatred of Israel. This is all interconnected. But I do not like the leadership of Israel, and Netanyahu who's in political trouble and wants to continue to use crises to stay in power. Same thing with Zelensky and NATO and the EU is collapsing. They want a war with Russia to prop themselves up. I don't hate the people of Europe, but I don't like their leadership. So I've been vindicated again. Hopefully we got a reprieve at least a week or so. But more aircraft carriers are showing up at Gerald R. Ford and others. So this is spiraling out of control very, very quickly. Pray for peace, and people better research this. It's not just are you for Iran, are you for Israel? No, if you look at the different ramifications of this, there are so many. But now the CIA is like, whoa, we shouldn't strike Iran. They'll finish their bombs. They'll be cornered and use them. Finish their bombs. Maybe they're not all put together, but we know they've got the fissile material and a lot of it. Got it? Once you have the fissile material, building a A-bomb, 1945 style, it ain't hard, okay? All right, Iran's got the bomb. Now let's have a real discussion.
So Alex has kind of been all over the place on this whole topic. I feel like he was very much like against Trump, and then he pulled it back. So I don't know. It's very interesting how that whole thing is played out with Alex. But ultimately it happened. Trump did it. Now all we can do is pray for peace. Trump has said this just a few minutes ago. Any retaliation by Iran against the United States of America will be met with force far greater than what was witnessed tonight. Thank you, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. So there you go. There you go, right there. Tagged you in a photo of drop on sites. All right, thank you. I'll check it out. I appreciate it. Mad Frog for 20 says, I've been MAGA since 2015. Dropping bombs is not the same as eliminating their nuclear deterrent. Without the deterrent, they are open to regime change from Israel. Laura Loomer works for Israel. I don't know. I mean, Laura Loomer is, I appreciate Laura Loomer's passion to stand for President Trump. She's, man, she's something else though, man. She does she almost does just as much harm as good than anything. You know what I mean? She's like 50-50, you know. Sometimes she's okay, then other times she just makes things so much worse. So but you know, you take the good with the bad, I guess. Again, I'm not a type of person that I have to agree with you on everything. Like everybody has the hive mind of like, well, if this person is not 100% of agreement with you, then I can't stand with them, or I can't agree, be friendly with them or whatever. Like that's just not how I operate. I don't know why so many people have to have like 100% agreement with the people that they form opinions on. I live in a world where you don't agree with anyone 100% on anything. I don't know any single human being on this planet that I agree with 100%. Not one person. None. And people, I guess people know people they agree with 100% of the time, but I don't know anyone that I agree with 100% of the time. I like disagreements. I like arguments. I like when people challenge people and stuff like that. Mad Frog says, I'd rather be on with Dave Smith's side than Shapiro, Lindsey Graham, and Dave Rubin's side. Oh, I agree with that 100%. Like I said, so I actually watched the Dave Smith video, his funeral for Ben Shapiro. And Dave Smith, outside of his Trump takes, he's actually comes off as a pretty likable guy. So I kind of like a lot of what he has to say, but his Trump takes are just retarded. But yeah, like his stuff, like the stuff he called Ben Shapiro out on is great. I genuinely can't stand Ben Shapiro. Like I do not like Ben Shapiro or at all. I used to like Ben. I used to like Ben when the Daily Wire was flooding his crap on Facebook and they were making him seem more popular than he really was. And then he would go to a college campus and argue with some retarded college people and it would go fucking viral. But, I think Ben Shapiro has done so much damage to the perception of Jewish people in this country over the last few years. Ben Shapiro is a piece of shit. He really is. Nick says, I'm a bit disappointed with the bombing and Trump's speech. There is too much Israel in that speech. Iran saying they are going to sue us just pump me up. They want no part of this maniac Trump MAGA for life. Well, thank you, Nick, for the $20. I appreciate it, brother. Let's see. Technically, this is a kinetic actions. Yasagi. Technically, this is kinetic action as per Obama and Libya. As long as we just engage in air actions, we can skirt Congress indefinitely. Well, hopefully that's all it's going to end up being. And if that's the case, then I think that's an overall W. But the concern is that what it's going to be? Bungles Twanger says the last time this happened, there was a great parody song by Vince Vance called Be Iran. It's on YouTube. You should play it for everyone. It's glorious. I feel like somebody sent me that one a while back, I think. Alan Unknown Newbie says, hey, this is $25. Thank you. Hey, longtime viewer, thanks for keeping us grounded. I stopped reading X and social media. They have been using inflammatory stuff like betrayed. I support President Trump 100%. I hope everyone stays focused on their day to day. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, like I said, it's a shit show on Twitter. But I appreciate the shit show. I enjoy it. But, there's got to be some context to it. You know what I mean? So ultimately, for the people that are curious about like where I ultimately stand, I stand with President Trump. I know that's shocking. I know this is a shocking position, but I don't agree with you if you hate President Trump. And for those that are thinking Jeremy's almost there, he's almost there. No, I'm not, motherfucker. I support President Trump, and there's not a fucking thing you can do about it. So go ahead and cry and whine and say Jeremy's just going to kiss up to Trump no matter what. Your self-fulfilling prophecy is intact. And that is specifically meant for the people that keep thinking every time I say something that you like and you go, Jeremy's almost there, boys. I just want to remind you that I support President Trump 100%. What the fuck are you going to do about it? Nothing. But I do hope you keep watching. I appreciate your anger. So thank you so much. But see here, I mean, again, I didn't vote for this. This is a bonus. The average person doesn't understand anything about the Middle East. And those who know are upset, who know and are upset are intellectually dishonest. Thank you so much. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, Trump causes all of this. He causes so many people's brains to break. It's glorious, Jose M, let's see. Read some fun Milo tweets. Milo Yiannopoulos. Is that who you're talking about? I don't really I don't follow him. I don't like Milo is like, I don't know what to make of the guy. I did like when he went on Tim Pool's show and made Tim Pool feel very uncomfortable. He kind of dominates the show when he's on with Tim, which is funny. But I can't say I know a lot about him. So let's see. Aaron James says Trump met with Bannon before the strikes, I believe, on advising how to keep his base loyal. Vote option 3, as long as there's no further military involvement. I'm chat's expert. Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate it, brother. Michael says Iran has now, let's see. Iran now has Casus belly to go to war against us. Paulie says Trump effed up. He's going to be a lame duck now. I don't agree, but I understand your concern. Cosmic Cowboy says, I guess we had no other choice but to strike Iran. I know everybody has an opinion, but wow, you're right about people thinking they are foreign policy experts right now. We just don't know the whole story yet. Yeah, again, if you look at Twitter, this is Twitter. And right here, this is Twitter. And everybody's a foreign policy expert, 100%. BT says he's losing half his base. I just don't agree with that. I think that's wishful thinking. I do think that he's lost some people. I think there's some people that are unhappy about this for sure. Half of his base, I don't think so, bro. I don't think so at all. Let's see here. Swords and Starship says, Commander, this is an honor. This is in honor of your recent excellent roast of zombies deliberately misunderstanding your political positions. Now, please roast me as if I have accused you of being a Mossad agent. Well, I appreciate it. But if you really want me to take you seriously, you got to send me more money than that. So here's what I would recommend. Stop paying male hookers to give you sexual advances and save some money up so you can send me a fucking super chat. All right? Stop paying male hookers for your gay sex and send me super chats instead. Is that a good enough roasting for you? Dark Schwartz Rising for 20. Thank you. Iran saying they will use legal action to me means this was truly devastating strike and they are scrambling. Well, interestingly enough, if I can find it, did I bookmark it? I think I bookmarked it. Let me see really quick. I've bookmarked so much crap. Okay, so you guys, I got bad news for you. Iran has found legal representation. This is breaking news. Iran has legal representation right now. Okay? I have it on good authority. Iran has legal representation against President Trump. It's over. Fish-eyed Letitia James has decided she is going to take up this lawsuit. She stands with Iran. She believes President Trump is wrong. It's over. Let's see here. Bob Ross 199 says legal action D's nuts. That's a very well-timed super chat that I read when I just pulled this up right here. So thank you so much. Jim Eagle says, what does Israel have on Trump? He's acting extremely compromised as their little lapdog. RIP America first. I don't agree with that, but I do think it's a valid question to ask. Valiant Renegade. Hail Valiant Renegade, brother. Thank you for the raid, Valiant Renegade. Donald Herb says, Iran is fucked. China won't care. Russia too busy with Ukraine. Most of the Middle Easterners hate them. They can't hurt the U.S. Trump showed them a taste of the U.S. strength. Peace is the only option. There you go. Buster Nut Smash says, I'm just tired of wars and killing that have been going on for literally decades. Can we get 1 year of peace in my lifetime? Yeah, I hear you, man. Not in the Middle East. It's never going to happen, unfortunately. Logan Miller says, watching the meltdowns on X right now is hilarity. Dopamine addicted influencers and corporate media drones have zero patience and yet know everything. that's kind of where I'm at with it. Like, if you know everything, if you're such an expert on everything, why are you melting down? If you're an expert, you should have known this is happening. If you're an expert, you should have known Trump was going to betray you. If you're an expert, then you should have known that Trump was a con man, as you claim he is. How were you fooled by Trump if you know everything? You should have known Trump was going to fool you if you know everything. It's just, like, I don't know. I can't believe Trump betrayed me. I know everything, though. Well, if you know everything, then why didn't you know Trump was going to betray you? Like, Twitter is a wild place, man. Will Cody says, how can we judge Trump when we don't know all the details? Everyone is so quick to judge on limited knowledge. Everyone needs to make their judgment after all the facts and details are made public. That's not something people on Twitter like to do these days. Mike S. says, by the way, for those keeping score, Trump just took out Iran's nuclear facilities without endangering any U.S. troops in the process. Iran just lost a war before it even began. I agree to an extent, but we can't, just as I say we can't overreact on the negative side too quickly, we can't just assume that's true yet. We cannot assume that's true. We're going to have to take time in order to, see if that ultimately is the case. So you're right in the moment, but we aren't going to truly be able to know that for a while. So just keep that in mind. That's all I'm saying. Mike S. says, now watch Thomas Massie and all the attention-seeking fake MAGA people like Dave Smith attack Trump harder than any other president. They're fake and they're as emotionally manipulative as Democrats. I agree with you on that one big time. Brian H. says, it's so sexy when you scorn the TDS crowd in chat. They're fun. Ugly Duckley says, thank you for being one of the few to have a level head over the last few weeks. Between the war hawks and the anti-Semitic right, it's been rough online lately. Somehow you've been the best show, lol. I do appreciate it, but it shows how fucked we are if I'm the most level-headed person on the internet. It seriously shows how screwed we are. If I'm the most level-headed, we are fucked. All right. That's just the truth. But thank you. I appreciate it. Let's see. Cope. What is this? I know this is DSP. Copeside Phil. God, I was like, what are you saying here? No Epstein files, no JFK files released, and now it makes complete sense why we will never see either of those. Yeah, the Epstein thing is a huge problem that Trump should continue to be heavily criticized over until it's released, which is never going to happen. John Roberts says, the stolen election is to blame for this. Trump had Iran beaten in his first term. Stolen elections have consequences for sure. Michael says, I'm pro-Trump, but we should have waited until we were attacked first. I mean, yes and no, but that would mean that we waited to have people attacked. And I just don't know if that's, again, I understand what you're saying in theory, but I just don't know if that's the right answer. I don't know. S. Becker says, this decision went through Hegseth, Tulsi, JD, and Marco Rubio first. I'm not going to panic until I hear from Donald J. Trump at 9 Central. And we did. Mitchell Fields says, I worked, let's see, on the ICBM Minuteman 3 system. I could have worked on the JSSM-ER cruise missile and have touched a B-2 at Whiteman Air Force Base. This plan is simple. We, the military, know it. News is doing fear porn. Well, that's what they do best. Thank you for your service. Norm Alman says, the worst part of this is the Groypers are crawling in their mom's basement. They have opinions. I respect their opinions too. They're gonna share their opinions. They're valid opinions. Everybody's opinions are valid, except for the people that aren't sending me super chats. Again, that's sarcasm. My God. All Jeremy wants is super chats. Well, yeah. Ray Ray says, yo, you are a real one. Mad respect for calling out Trump. This crazy disappointment, but I'm going to ride or die with you from here. God bless. Thank you. I appreciate it. I will criticize Trump when I need to. Daniel Davis says, Israel is like your drunk girlfriend at the bar, starting shit unnecessarily with buff dudes who now want to kick your ass. And we're too weak to finally break up with her and let her manhandle her and let them manhandle her. Let's see. Marine Rebel says, not a fan of this, but president has to make decisions that we don't like sometimes. Also, as a leader, sometimes you have to make decisions that might get people killed. Sad but true. John freaking Murdoch says, talk about grifting. YouTube made me split my thoughts into 3 super chats. What? John, I didn't even see these. There was a lot of super chats coming in, man. I'm sorry. CG says, technically it wasn't a head fake. Trump said he'd decide within 2 weeks, not after 2 weeks. Okay, fair point. Not sure what will happen, but I trust Trump. His position on Iran has never wavered. Lying Dog Face Pony Soldier with a gift of membership. Thank you. Copeside Phil says, Trump was fully negotiating in bad faith. He literally admitted himself that he was talking to Iran to distract them so Israel can hit them. He is a puppet for the Jews, nothing more. Yeah, I mean, I know that's your take and I respect it. I just don't take criticisms like that seriously. Like, I just don't. Like, okay, yes, we're all, again, I, a retarded streamer who's from Alabama, who my parents might be brother and sister. I had to Google what the fuck Mossad was because motherfuckers like you were accusing me of being an Israeli asset. And I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck Mossad is. And now you guys are mad because you found out that I had to Google Mossad. But I'm like, why are you mad at me for having to Google it? You accused me of being an Israeli asset. You accused someone that had to Google what Mossad was of being an Israeli asset. It shows how flawed your retarded argument is. That shows how ridiculous all of these accusations are. Like, I'm not, at this point, you're the retarded one, not me. You are so dumb that you accused someone that had to Google what Mossad was of being an Israeli asset. It shows how retarded these accusations are. It's crazy. Socrates Magoat for 10 says, Netflix Yahoo did all of this on his own, forcing Trump to cover for him. Apparently, JD Vance has been at odds with the Israelis the whole time for it. I did see those reports. I did, but again, it's from Reuters, and I don't know how much I believe it. Nick S says, I don't like the idea of starting any new wars, but this isn't new. Very true. It's not a new war. And I also agree with not my sand, not my problem. But if they send nukes into our sand, it becomes a little late for us. This is true. This is why it's a complicated situation that requires a lot of nuance and details, and people don't care about these things. They're too tribalistic in their beliefs, and they don't care about any of the details involved with it. They only want what they want. And if they don't get exactly what they want, then Trump's controlled by the Jews, you know. Anthony says, Christ is king. Viva Cristo Rey. Let's see. Queenie says, how many sleeper cells are in our country? That's what worries me. Now that we have been drug into this, did they destroy them or was it all for nothing? Netflix Yahoo sucks ass. Marlena says, it won't send my message citing a great YouTube channel, trying to reword it. Great info, up to date, accurate. The Enforcer. Oh yeah, the Enforcer. Yeah. The Enforcer does good coverage. I don't know him personally, but he does good coverage. So, Copeside Phil says, what moron directly strikes a country and then says we want peace? I can't even begin to imagine what Jeff had on Trump to make him bend all the way over for the Jews. Probably what they had on me. Let's see. This is, again, I love leaning into insults. It's so fun. Copeside Phil says, I hope all of your kids are ready to defend the United States of Israel. Philip Butler says, if they didn't use those other assets, it's a pinprick. Eric K says, Jeremy is the most intelligent, well-organized streamer on the internet. Please do not try this at home. He's a professional. God. Polite Rude Guy says, peace through strength, Trump 2028. Sola Felix says, Mark Dice did a great measured post about this. Mark Dice. I love Mark Dice. I love watching his takes. I love watching him break down a lot of this stuff. Mark Dice is fantastic. I'm a fan of Mark Dice. He's great. And he often like talks about like the Israel stuff in a way that's not so hyperbolic, where you can actually go, oh yeah, okay, I see where he's coming from, instead of just like foaming at the mouth and just making ridiculous accusations. He actually like talks about it in a level-headed, calm way. I really like Mark Dice a lot. Smeeky says, if anything, Iran dragged us into this conflict. War Wizard says, do you support this, Jeremy? Sounds like a mistake. Free Men Die Free says, China and Russia won't sit back forever and allow their allies and partners to be squeezed. Iran is a major exporter to both. Arrogance to world police more. Zero says, Jeremy, boy, I can't wait to stream Mario Kart tonight. Trump, not today. Gay boy, beardo, fat. Well, I wasn't going to be streaming Mario Kart tonight. I really want to stream Battlefront, though. Yapping Tom says, at Jeremy, is this true? Grok is for noobs. Hail. Yeah, I fucking hate people that ask Grok for answers. Now, the memeing it is fun, but if you're looking for legitimate information from AI, stop. Aaron James says, we're just using a tool nobody else has. We're not in full on war like Iraq or other conflicts. Trust me, I'm an expert. Trump will make this in out. Pippi says, to be frank, if the previous administration wasn't so weak, Israel likely wouldn't be been attacked by Iran's proxies. Iran wouldn't have been emboldened. The chat says, Jeremy, thanks for covering this stuff. I trust Trump. Thank you. Leighton Hallman says, I don't give a shit about Iran. My concern is what about China and the CIA do with this. I don't trust either. Both are evil, and I will try to exploit this. Stream Hero says, I wanted to give an update. My power is restored. Unfortunately, now we're in a heat wave. 84 feels like 90. Of course, that's nothing to a Florida man. This is true. So let's see. Omega says Israel deep state is powerful. Chat says Trump saw a threat before Israel and gave a deadline. Darth Manic says, I was asleep and felt my house shake, woke up and saw the news. Trump just dropped more bombs like he does with a mic. If he would have dropped Chris Christie, it would have been over. There would be another further threat. If he just would have dropped Chris Christie on the first run, Iran's done. It's over. There's no chance. Polite Rude Guy says, I support Israel 100%. Our ally, trust Trump. Sinestro says, once again, we have to clean up someone else's mess. The chat says, being an actual president be hard. Cho C says, I have family now in the Navy, Marines, and Army, and I'll tell you now from word on the inside, morale is high among the ranks. Troops trust Trump. Happy to hear that. The troops do love Trump. Copeside Phil says, it's almost Israel's own. It's almost Israel owns this country and every single politician in it. But don't think about that. Just praise Trump and say MAGA. Go Trump. All hail MAGA. Philip Beller says, don't be a panicking. Nandy says, this will define Trump's presidency. Maybe. Eric K says, other day, the Iran president threatened U.S. again. Christopher Reed says, there could be more going on than we know. Magnum Norris says, this ain't MAGA. What's up, Magnum Norris? Two Tires says, just going to point out it ain't war until Congress declares it. It's only strategic strikes. Remember that, everyone. They're not going to remember that. Let's see. I don't even know what. Let's see. Where's it at? Apex says Israel was the stick, the attack dog. Let's see. Love you, bro, but you must admit he's an Israeli puppet. Okay. I mean, if that's what you think, I'm not going to convince you otherwise. The question is, why do you need me to convince you that Why do you want me to believe what you believe? I don't care to convince you, but the people that are on the side of like he's a puppet, they need you to believe what they believe. And I never understood that. Like, why do you need me to believe what you believe? I don't need you to believe what I believe, but you seem very focused on me believing what you believe. And that type of mindset always comes from a weird standpoint. It comes from a lack of confidence when people think you must admit this thing. No, I don't. You can believe it, but why do I have to believe it? Why do you need other people to co-sign your beliefs? It comes from a very weak place when you need somebody else to believe as you. I don't understand that. Yes, like a vegan. Yes, it's a vegan mentality of you should be a vegan. Why? You can be a vegan. Doesn't mean I have to. It's the pronouns and bio crowd. You can use pronouns. It doesn't mean I have to use pronouns. Why do you insist that other people believe as you? If you believe it so much, you should believe it without other people needing to co-sign it. And that's where confidence comes from. It's a lack of confidence. It's a very, very weird thing. You can believe it. I'm not telling you you shouldn't. I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm telling you I don't agree, but I'm okay with you believing it. It's okay. The U.S. is a prime example of why we should not be looking at U.S. code. The difference between positive and non-positive law can't be plainly seen. Let's see. One side hasn't contributed to human advancement generations, and the other has been a friendly, loyal ally. I support this. Nick was right, meaning Nick Fuentes. He's talking about Nick Fuentes was right. I got nothing against Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes has a hell of a following. I still, to this day, want to see Nick Fuentes versus Ben Shapiro. I want to see Nick Fuentes versus Ben Shapiro so bad. Please, I'll help crowdfund it. Because Nick Fuentes would destroy Ben Shapiro. It would be glorious. Oh my God, it would be glorious. It'll never happen. Little Ben's scared of him. Little Ben is scared to death. Israel did not start this war. You're wrong. Are you starting to understand why a lot of people criticize Trump Israeli Jew love affair? I just hope the deportations pick up in massive speed. I mean, I understand people's perspectives for sure. So, Jimmy Carter started this war, overthrew the Shia. Don't lump Ukraine in with this. They never asked for U.S. involvement. All they want is to buy our gear for cash money, and they didn't start it with Russia. Well, when it comes down to Ukraine, and I want to be clear, fuck Ukraine. Okay? I just want to be clear about that. Fuck Ukraine. Not the Ukrainian people, but the blockbuster video salesman Zelensky. Fuck Zelensky and the Ukrainian government. Fuck them. Golden Nugget says, when you guys come to UK, not that I blame you. Never. I like to have my opinions. Google Plus sucks. We haven't had a good old-fashioned regime change war in a while. Tel Aviv is looking mighty juicy. MAGA Patriot says, Iran has been begging Trump to spike that A. Colin Bright says, Top Gun 3 starring Trump Cruise. Disinfected Scientist says, I work in missile defense, and all I'll say is I'm mad. Patriotic Eagle says, I'm no expert on policies, but I am an expert at letting you all know that if you go to MetaPC and use the promo code 199, you get a discount. That's a very good expert take right there. Lord Voldemort says, have you noticed that the Democrats have been completely silent on the Iran debate? What are they up to? A lot of people have been silent. A lot of people are thinking like Joe Rogan's been silent. A lot of people, so I don't know. Just because someone's silent doesn't necessarily mean something. Lying dog face pony soldier says no country in the world wants Iran to have nukes. That's probably true. Crazy Clown Town says this is for Mr. Hater. We appreciate Mr. Hater. Horror Amarada says, I can't believe Trump made the best decision he could based on the information he was given. I don't trust the people giving him that information. Well, that's fair. That's a fair take. Horror Amarada is not necessarily, I don't know if she's a Trump hater, but I know she's not a Trump, fan like I am. But that's a fair take. That's a fair take. Ministry of Wrong thinks is amazing how leak-proof U.S. military communications get when Trump is planning a strike on the same people the establishment wants a forever war with. That was pretty interesting right there. It really was. No leaks at all. Hawk Sidekick says, Iran was the one who tried to kill Trump. Iran was the one who tried to kill Trump. Yeah, I mean, I know that story's out there. It's just that if that's the case, then we probably should have been at war with them immediately and not waited, VSS says, hey, Jeremy, I think patience is best here. And if Trump feels strikes are needed, then let's see what happens. The man has a lot of things to fix after being the peace man in term one. I agree. Renegade Nation says, Renegade Raid. What's up, Valiant Renegade in the house? Thank you, brother. Hayden Wayne says, my ex is a small fire because of my take on this. Laughing my ass off. Didn't expect that. Are you getting ratioed? Dude, it's Twitter's a shit show, man. It really is. John Kennedy says, I was Team Trump before the ride down the golden escalator. I voted for his leadership and to make these decisions, even if they bite me in the ass. He far outweighs the alternative, ride or die. I agree. 8 o'clock says, all the TDS and fair weather Trump voters calling Trump a liar like they were never going to put up with a discussion they don't like. Also, I had to take a modern warfare or MW2 down to recruit today. Please roast me. 8 o'clock, I got 150 super chats. So the way I'm going to roast you is to tell you, you're not important enough to roast because I've got more super chats. So become more important, and then maybe I'll think you're worthy of being roasted. But until then, I'm just going to read a $5 super chat instead of roasting you. That's how insignificant you are. Go fuck yourself. Sorry, I really appreciate your support. I didn't mean to say anything mean about you. Olympian Products says, the only asset I'm interested in are Sydney Sweeney's. Let's go. Let's see. Lapco says, first rule of being Mossad is pretend to not know what Mossad is. Checkmate. Just kidding. Mossad's not going to waste time on an Alabama tart. This is true. I can't even get fucking sponsors, and Mossad's going to fucking bring me in. Like, come on. I can't even get like consistent sponsors around here. Lord Bothus says, Googling Mossad like you don't know what it is just what an Israeli agent would say to hide his cover. Jeremy has curly hair and always wears a hat. What people do that? Exactly. Israeli asset. Dun, dun, dun. Drew Dat Underground says, we need to let President Trump cook. Trust President Trump. Force Geek says, basically it comes down to how close was Iran to making a nuclear bomb. Actually, because if you want Iran to strike first before we strike, that first strike will be nuclear. That is a good, and that's the point I was saying, like, we should wait for them to strike first, but it's like, should we? And this is where the nuance and the details comes into it. Should we? If they are close to a nuclear weapon, should we wait for them to strike first? Because that kind of is a weird dynamic. You know what I mean? Should we? Because I don't think we should. That's the whole point behind this, is that it's not just as cut and dry as Trump should or shouldn't, or that Trump did, therefore I have to lose my mind over it. There's a lot more nuance involved with this. So just keep that in mind. The Blue Futon says, so weird that everyone talks about being bought by Israel and Jews, yet Islam Muslim took over college campuses and progressive left, European and Northern Michigan, Minnesota. Do people forget that? They just don't care. They don't care. Like, I think that the influence of Islam and Muslim has been far more of an issue in this country than anything else. Chris Whiting for $45.47 says, hey, bro, what did I miss? Just joining. Hail the 199. Chris, You missed a lot, brother. You missed a lot, but thank you. I appreciate it. Let's see. Scrunch for 20 says Trump campaigned on not allowing Iran to have nuclear weapons. So I can't pretend he didn't give us a heads up. True. Let's see here. Where are we at? Samuel Rice says, Jeremy, go see what Melanie Mac posted. USA ain't led. Posted USA ain't led. I don't know what you mean by that. I'll have to look. I'll look at her Twitter account in a minute. Matt Frog says, Tim Pool gets private audiences with Netflix Yahoo. Yeah. I mean, I got to turn the brightness up on my computer monitor. I am still traveling, so my setup is not completely where I want it to be. But yeah, so somebody said the other day, because they were, again, the people mad about so many things in my comments, but they were just like, I can't believe Jeremy said this. And they were like, well, if you're here for like really in-depth political analysis, you're in the wrong place. And I agree with that. And then someone said, he started this as a political show. Incorrect. Does anyone remember why Cobra Cast started? Cobra Cast started to meme on Tim Pool. That is why Cobra Cast started. It started to meme on Tim Pool. That is the creation of Cobra Cast, to meme on Tim. That's it. And so it will always be something that was built off of a meme. Anthony says the premise is very similar to Top Gun Maverick. Smeeky says, I hooked up with Mr. Hater's mom and dad last night. Mom and dad? Bro, chill. Zach Attack says, never want to hear from leftists that we are an echo chamber. I'm looking at the chat and we clearly are not. I wouldn't have it any other way. I really do love division, as long as it's like a chaotic division. I don't like when everybody agrees with me. So I like it. I like a good fight. I like a good argument. It's fun that way. It gets boring when everybody agrees. Navy EMT says, I support it, but I don't like it. I think that's about where I'm at with it. I support it, but I don't like it. That's it. I agree. Yeah. 100%. That's where I'm at. That is my official take on this. I support it, but I don't like it. I like that. Fantastic Mr. Knox is not liking it, but as far as Trump as long as Trump doesn't send men to fight Israel's war, then this is acceptable. He did warn that Iran shouldn't have nukes. Very true. Modern Minuteman movement says, what am I worried about? Or what I'm worried about is sleeper cells. Clown Pilled 199 says, Iran prevented the making of Titanfall 3. Bomb them. Bomb them to hell, Trump. Bomb them to hell now. Drop Chris Christie right now. Drop Chris Christie right now. Iran must pay. Iran must pay. Thank you. Fantastic Knox says, adding to my super chat, Iranians need to step up and do the regime change on their own. Let's see. Is it Coldren says, would have had this with Kamala, but also open borders, woke BS. Didn't vote for this, but Trump's still a net positive and has had benefit of the doubt. Brian says, regardless of who supports this, MAGA is split. Is it Zephyr says, remember what Elon said about Trump on the Epstein list? Suddenly this heel turn doesn't seem so surprising. I mean, I do. And I also remember Elon deleting all that and saying he regrets making them. So, if you're going to call Elon, or if you're going to remember what Elon's done, let's remember what Elon's done. American Advocate says, breaking, a federal judge is now requiring Trump to rebuild Iran's nuclear bases for them. Clark says, I'm only really concerned about how much it will cost me to replace the ordinance. Accident Seller says, let's see, Donald Bunker bust. What? I'll just highlight that. I ain't gonna try to read it and sound like a retard. So there you go. Nico says 28 years later is missing a Big Abby pump. Holler if you hear me. Big Abby pump. Holler if you hear me. Here it's missing the hookup. The Bob that God made says the irony is if Iran actually had those weapons, we probably wouldn't have done any of this. Blue Eyed Scorpio says, Grok is Jeremy gave Fig Grok. Yes. Poppin' Fresh J says, mostly peaceful. Little Potato says, how much do you think gas prices will go up? Hopefully not a month. Again, it all depends on the retaliation at this point. Colorado Kid says, kick Lofty. Alex McCarthy says, Grok told me Beardo is a professional reader. Well, that's a lie. Michael says, concerned about retaliation on U.S. soil. Picky Baby says, we went from stopping Ukraine war on day one to let's have more war. Weird that this and ICE riots happened just after Elon's Epstein Files accusation. Cosmic Thunder says, only chronically online people care about Israel. Well, I'm chronically online, but I don't give a fuck. But I understand what you're saying. But yeah, I spend way too much time online. Elydium X Game says, I trust Trump. These are just strikes, not war. Just like when he struck Syria. You can't negotiate with extremists. Trump knows this. Mitchell Field says, get a vet on the show. This is simple and predictable. Israel is needed to soften them up first. 4 months ago, I was saying this would happen. Thank you, Mitchell Fields. I appreciate it. Let's see. We got a 20 from 8 o'clock. Says, thanks, Jeremy. Also, the people saying China will get involved like North Korea soldiers didn't get addicted to uncensored internet in a week in Ukraine. Imagine what the Chinese soldiers do. Thank you, 8 o'clock. I appreciate it, brother. Mellow Fungus says, I agree with you about the chaotic decision. I don't like unanimous agreements. That's why we all need more Muslims so that we have 30% of the population that wants to marry children and goats. Hayden Wayne for 10 says, if we were at war with Iran, why didn't we turn their leadership into glass before now? Why just something why just something they care about? I'm worried about retaliation, also not getting ratioed. Okay, got you. I didn't know what you were saying there. Mad Frog for 20 says, Trump is sending mixed signals warning Iran not to retaliate or risk a stronger attack. This implies Iran cares about self-preservation. Therefore, why would they nuke us immediately after getting a nuke? They would be glassed if they did that. Well, I think Trump is intentionally sending mixed messages because he often does that. This is kind of what he does. So right here, major U.S. cities across the United States are now on high alert nationwide following airstrikes on Iranian nuclear facilities in response to Iran's nuclear attack. I don't know where this is from. Oh, here it is. Fox News. Okay. So major U.S. cities on high alert following airstrikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. And this is where it becomes very complicated. Just in, Tulsi Gabbard was in the situation room when the U.S. struck Iran, senior White House official confirms. So Tulsi Gabbard was in the situation room. Let's see where we are. I just want to see, because I've been reading so many super chats. I'm trying to see if there's any updates. So that is a pretty badass photo right there. That's a pretty gangster photo right there. That's pretty badass, I gotta say. All right. I'm just looking to see where we're at. Nothing. John freaking Murdoch for a proper 199 says, my favorite fake Mossad agent from LA. There is so many memes to that. Holy crap. From LA. Holy shit. Thank you for the proper 199. I appreciate it. It's funny, dude, because like people get really triggered when because this channel, well, all of my channels get a lot of super chats. I don't know why. I've never understood it. I'm very thankful for it. I never will understand it. And every day I'm thankful, because every day I think it's like the last day that I'm going to get support, and I'm thankful. And if my channel dies today, I've had a good run. So I'm super thankful for it. But yeah, people get really mad about this. And, because we get the new viewers in and then they see all of this and they're just like, people don't like, if I didn't know more about what I did, then I guess I would see it. But I have a huge team of people at Geeks and Gamers. I have a huge network, and I reinvest all of my money back into that. Now, if I wasn't trying to build something like Geeks and Gamers, then yeah, I'd be rolling in the dough. I absolutely would. But I do have net worth, but it's not, I have no liquid because I put everything back into the company. And my goal is to make Geeks and Gamers, like this huge, I want to destroy IGN. That's what I want. I want to destroy IGN. And the best thing about it is having a Trump supporter that runs the company that destroys IGN. That's what I want. And how funny would that be if a Trump supporter that runs a company, a gaming and nerd site, can destroy IGN? How glorious would that be? It would be fantastic. It would be fantastic. But yeah, anyway, thank you, John. I appreciate it. And of course, Proper 199 comes with proper jiggle physics. As always, Sydney Sweeney in the house. Let's freaking go. That's how we celebrate the Proper 199.
Should I do it?
Do not come.
Come on, baby. Come on. I'm gonna do it.
Do not come.
I'm gonna come. Beautiful white paint. It's coming down at 10,000 miles an hour. It's coming down at levels of speed that nobody ever even conceived of. Where it's rough, but it's coming, and now it's turned around. It turns around, and it's coming, and it's gonna. I said, oh, because you see at that bottom, this section right here, that sucker's. Oh.
And there we go. Thank you, John. I appreciate it, man. Let's see. Dracon says, I work at a mountain resort. We have had several calls today from active soldiers canceling their reservations due to potential deployment. This was before the news dropped about Iran. I really hope this does not spiral out of control, man. I really do. But we're going to have to wait and see what happens. I really, really hope so. I hope not. Westward Smile says, pretty sure I missed my super being read. I'm saying again that Toby is a goat, and thanks for lighting a fire to listen to him again while gaming on Kick last night. If you didn't, you owe me 2 gifted. Well, you are correct. Toby is the GOAT. We love him. Toby Keith and that whole thing, with American Soldier being played at the parade for the Army. It really did take me down that rabbit hole. Toby Keith. And Toby Maguire's the GOAT too, by the way. He's the GOAT Spider-Man. But Toby Keith is the GOAT patriot and loved the troops and showed up to the inauguration of President Trump when cowards like Garth Brooks, someone that I grew up listening to, and I was a huge fan of Garth Brooks back in the day, and he was a coward and wouldn't show up to the inauguration, but Toby Keith did. Toby Keith absolutely did. So thank you so much. It's not that I don't know, I'm probably not going to, I'm getting to as many as I can on super chats. I kind of left some people hanging earlier to come do this stream, and I'm going to have to, I've still got obligations, but I dropped everything earlier because I'm like, hey, I got to go. Trump just dropped bombs on Iran. I got to go. The snake pit demands me. Okay. Mellow Fungus says you're allowed to give Tim Pool your hair if it's all body hair like pubes. That's gross. Your Uncle Matt for a 199. Thank you. Samurai says, now it's time. Now is the time for Trump to present the evidence. Pro Catch says Trump should just come out and say, lol. Victoria B says, if Trump is too focused on being the peace president, he risks becoming Jimmy Carter 2.0. Ghost Army says, we witnessed the plot of Top Gun Maverick. Commodore Fan says, I pray no U.S. boots on the ground or harmed. Agreed. Your Uncle Matt for a 199. Mike S says, I stand with Trump, not emotional Twitter retards. Mitchell Field says, YouTube won't let me use the words I need to say what is happening. Is there a different way I can communicate with you? This was my Air Force job, 06 to 12. You can DM me on Twitter, and I can check out what you got to say. The Under Armour Gamer says, just got here. Can I please get a recap? I think that was earlier. I think you got it. SBZ says, not the first time I disagree with Trump policies. I freaking hate his tariffs, but I rather these than rainbow flags flying at the White House. Right, the guy says, I'm not as worried about Iran as about the sleeper cells in this country that Biden let in retaliating. Agreed. Imperial Fist Stan says, there will not be boots on the ground or a draft. Wizard Man says, if Iran attacks our troops in the region, then Israel gets their wish. I hope this doesn't happen. This is FUBAR. Darth Manic says, Trump bunker busted Iran just to activate you and the snake pit. Jeremy has plans. F that. Drop them. Official quote of the president. Defending Truth says, Iran could have nukes. Says Israel, who has nukes. Wizard Man says, fuck Netflix Yahoo. He is the biggest joke. Accident Seller says, let's reform and make Iran glorious, great again. Or not going to say it because, listen, I'm not saying I accidentally said a word on stream one time. It's the first time I've said it. I've never said it driving during traffic jams. I've never said it playing video games. It's the first time I've ever said it. Growing up in Alabama, I've never said that word ever. I've never even heard it from the wonderful, wonderful rednecks of Alabama. I've never. It's the first time. Just an accident, guys. So Celebrity Jeremy says, I look at Netflix Yahoo as more of the enemy of my people. He makes more sense to me that way. Jay Ritzy says, Trump just posted on True Social as to why he did what he did. Mike S says, imagine crying over deleted uranium or Iranian nuclear sites. Freddie Litt says, Trump's cabinet is full of, I think that's Israel people. Is that what you mean? Bubba Doom says, there's a lot of folks that didn't live in the 80s, and it shows. Iran has been needing this for decades. Trump isn't Bush. He won't play. Maximus BT with a 99 cent. Freddie Litt says Trump's in charge. Trump is not in charge. His Israel cabinet is. Accident Seller says, Vance looks pissed. Leaks say he was very unhappy with the decision to attack Iran. Notice JD's body language when Trump left the podium. Tension. Probably not, but maybe. I mean, you might be right. I don't think so, though. Let me see where we at. Bird Gang says the Patriot Act gave the president war powers after 9/11 and has never been repealed. Exactly. Says Bush had domestic policy plans too. Then Iraq happened. Want mass deportations? Keep supporting this anyway. You won't get them. Wake up, sheeple. Yeah, I mean, again, that's one of the criticisms that Tucker Carlson had, which I agreed with. I agreed with Tucker's criticisms, 100%. So, Cole Hauser says the issue isn't war; it's endless war. Not everyone is nice or will play nice, so action is necessary. Jupiter Knight says they tried this after after Praying Mantis, Big L, Iran. Stream Hero says, where were the articles of impeachment when Obama in his 8 years of presidency dropped 500 drone bombs? Innocent people died, not just terrorists. Pro Catch says, Trump just ended a war before it even started. Again, while I will pull back on the people that will do the hyperbole of George W. Trump and all that shit, I'm also going to have to pull back on the people that claim that Trump ended a war before it started. We don't know that yet. We just don't. We can hope and pray that that's the case, but until we actually get some confirmation of that, Trump didn't end a war. Trump kind of might have started a war at this point, between the U.S. and Iran. So we just don't know yet. So that's why I will pull back on either side that is trying to speak in hyperbole, because there's no way to know that. Hopefully that's the case, but we don't know that yet. Optimus says that regardless of what you think about Trump right now, at least we have a president who is coherent and can enunciate words. Mitchell Field says Israel went in first because you don't send B-2 bombers in if you can take out anti-air missiles first. To not do this would be risky. Mr. Bentham, I'm really mad. Stop being bald and eyebrowless. God is good all the time, says R. Spirium with a 199 super sticker. Thank you. Let It Burn says, honestly, I'm not mad. I'm more disappointed. Minecraft Mods says Trump couldn't drop bacon on both countries. Obama says, does this action directly benefit the American people in any way? Again, if you're of the belief that they were close to a nuclear bomb, then yes. Thunder Rat says, God bless the United States. Let's see. God bless United States President Netflix Yahoo. Bummer unknown. He said he was going to continue to bomb if they don't surrender. We are part of a war. If that is the case, it just isn't the enrichment sites. Ben says, here are some shekels, grifter. All my what says Iran is at the center of the war. Drone. Let's see. War drone prod for NK and Russia. Joe C says, all BS aside, the big takeaway from this event is that Ilhan Omar, AOC, Bernie Sanders, and the rest of the Marxist D-bags are very upset. Enjoy it. Oh, I will. Cole Hauser, Iran responsible for death and wounded of Americans in Iraq. Israel was able to do what they did because Iran is decimated. Their F-14s can't even fly. Fentanyl Floyd says Trump has been consistent with Iran for 15 years. MAGA bandwagoners that joined 8 months ago and weren't paying attention. I didn't vote for this. This is true. Imperial Fist Stan says, why was Iran enriching nuclear material to a higher level if they weren't going for a nuke? That was verified. Can anybody answer that? If you're looking at it logically, the answer is kind of obvious. But Trump is just an Israel mole or Israel controlled, apparently. Rhino Helix says Trump did what he had to do. Forget these isolationists who somehow thought we were never going to fire another shot in anger ever again. General Duali says I voted for Trump in 2020 and 2024. I don't agree with being in the Middle East at all. Keep crying if you don't like my stance. Weak motherfuckers. I respect it. Basket City says Jeremy agrees with Culver's Butterburger. You know, I had Culver's for the first time in a long time, and it was just whatever. When I stopped eating it every day, and then I've been eating better, and then I go back to Culver's, and like, don't get me wrong, the Butterburger is good, but it wasn't the same. You know, I was like, it just wasn't the same. Wizard Man says, when the neocons are on your side, you're wrong. Hector says, just happy to get a Cobra Cast on a Saturday. Well, thank you. Logan Miller with 5 get to memberships. Thank you. Rogue Thought says, if the big, beautiful bill now passes and many of the Trump appointments awaiting approval get approved, then at least part of this was political. Mud Butt Beardo says, Zion Don took MAGA out back tonight. He just ensured that we get woke back in full force. I guess Israel is more important to him than MAGA. Heavy D at the movie says, I bought a shoe polishing kit from Netflix Yahoo yesterday at Town West Mall. Real nice guy, but not as gay as you. Hail the 199. Indolent Imp says, heard Iran and China help each other. Possible side motive to gain a leg up on China in the AI race. What do you think? I don't know if it's, I don't think it's, I think it has to do with exactly what they're saying it has to do. Tom McD says Netflix Yahoo is sketchy AF, though Trump bombing the 3 sites to get Iran to stop nuclear weapons is boss level and shows Iran will eliminate your weapon. Cole Hauser says, Jeremy, wait for the Pentagon briefing tomorrow morning. They will have the facts. No point of speculation until you hear from Raisin and Pete. 100%. What time is that, by the way, tomorrow? What time is it? I would like to know. I don't know if I don't know if I can react to it, but I will try. Wizard Man says preemptive strike only works when the ability to retaliate is nullified. They can strike U.S. bases in the region, and if they do, war will escalate. Lord Torchwick says, I think something happened in Iran that hasn't been released that made him decide to hit those targets now. Metal Incarnate says, Israel is like the drunk friend who starts a bar fight with the guys he's fighting. Come after you too, F Israel. Lying Dog Face Pony Soldier says, Iran can't even have nukes. Joey Giggle says, AOC helped give billions with Biden, and now she's being a dumb bee. MK Solid says extra loads were dropped on Alina Habba's back. Granola Grin says Trump spent more time trolling Rosie O'Donnell than he did addressing the nation about how we just obliterated Iran in a matter of seconds. Roadkills says, who can say no to big booty Latinas? They should never be deported. They should never be deported. Storm Shadow says David Harris just reported a federal district court judge ruled Trump must rebuild Iran's nuclear facilities. Eric K says Jeremy sucks more than Dyson at Mario Kart. Westward Smile says after last night I listened to Toby Keith for 5 hours while gaming on Kick. He is one of the GOATs. Watching Icon tonight. Thanks for bringing him up. Toby Keith, American Icon, is fantastic. You will enjoy it. Celebrity Jeremy says I can trigger D-Day with 2 words: Naughty Dog. If you tell me Israel's involved with Naughty Dog, I'm off the Trump train. That's it. You just tell me that, and I'm off the Trump train immediately. Modest Rat says disappointed with Trump, still supports him. Disappointed with Trump, but still support him. Immigration and economy are good for now. Hopefully we don't get drawn into any more than we are. Gay Remy Gay. Cole Alger says after a night with me, AOC will be MAGA. BBC, baby. Bird Up says, would you rather do Whoopi Goldberg in front end or Blair White in his back end? I'm about to end this stream. This
is not okay. It's just not.
I'm about to end this stream. Madney says, I'm not dying for Ben's sister. I don't care how fantastic they are. Slain Hope says Trump's a gift to Dems politicians. They don't have to do their job at all anymore. They just clock in, shout F Trump, and clock out for the day. True. Very, very true. Let's see. Matt Frog says Iran has been fighting with one arm behind its back, fearing the U.S. Taking kinetic action. The barrier is gone now. We should not be so arrogant that we underestimate Iran. Jackie Johnston with 10 gifted memberships. Look at there. Thank you so freaking much. 10 gifted memberships. Let's freaking go. Thank you, Jackie. Let's see. Daniel says, breaking news, a federal judge has ordered President Trump to rebuild all destroyed nuclear facilities in Iran. You guys clearly are like, everybody's running with the same meme. Somebody tweeted this out. Now everybody's running with it. I appreciate the joke, though. I do. Western Smile says, Toby Keith always said, never be afraid to be patriotic. He was a real one. Yes, he was. He absolutely was a real one. No doubt about it. Where we at? Mitchell Field says, Iran counterstrikes with what? Rocks? Packing Proton says, still proud I voted for Trump. Let's go. Defending Truth says, Trump supporter since 15 and saw him in OC, California when he first ran. Trump's boomer support is for Israel will get Americans killed. This is on him directly now. Aaron James says, Trump is also communicating with other nations. I sent a super about a third option for the poll earlier, but I understand you're handling a lot. Expert. Wraith Leader says, Trump turned on Ben Shapiro after the strike. Trump turned on Ben Shapiro after this strike. They're going to have to get a restraining order on him to keep him from glazing Trump. Oh, turned on, meaning little Ben is turned on. Okay, gotcha. Solo Felix is a big step for Abbott, taking one step at a time. Mitchell Field says, who else knew in the chat it was going to happen when Trump was in the Middle East talking to leaders and getting $8 billion in economic funding? 8 billion or 8 trillion, says Mitchell Fields. Ramtack says, why didn't I just vote for Nikki Haley? I mean, you could have. Nothing was stopping you. Him Honglo says, we dicked around with the Middle Eastern countries a lot in the past and never followed up. It's always come back to bite us. About time we took care of business. Tom McD says, Trump pimp slapped Iran and no nukes now. I'll make you an offer you can't refuse. Netflix, Yahoo, shut the fuck up. Now peace talks. Loomer is meh. Shapiro is, and I don't know what that emoji says. Mike S says, Dave Smith and AOC both want Trump impeached. Just saying. I know. Philip Butler says, notable silence from the U.S. and European leaders. Minecraft Mazza, are you going to review 28 years later? I've been so busy, man. Like, the only things that I'm interested in on movies right now, I'm interested in Superman. I'm interested in Fantastic Four to roast it. And I'm interested in Jurassic World to see how bad it is. But that's really it, man. The entertainment, like video games and politics, are my focus right now. And like a true Giga Chad alpha male, I'll be playing more Mario Kart World just to show how much of a Giga Chad alpha male I am. And if you question my alpha male Giga Chad ways because I play Mario Kart, well, I also play Fortnite. So there you go. Fantastic Knox says, I guess impeach Trump is fashionable again. Have they not learned back in 2016, as well as the last goofy looking guy who tried to impeach him? And that happens on D-Day Cobra Gaming, by the way, my D-Day Cobra Gaming channel. That's where I play games. Mike says, if this escalates on full war, our movement will be severely damaged. JD might be the last hope if that scenario. I think he's silently noticing. JJ's White says, after Iran led attacks against us in Iraq, screw them. Lapco says, Iran's going to show Trump. Everyone knows Israel doesn't know any good lawyers. Rhino Helix says, this is like watching Democrats melt down on election night. All of these maggish people freaking out. We bombed Iran nuclear facilities. Jake Skywalker says, why is Ryan posting photos with no shirt? Defending Truth says, people supporting and joking about this gives off the same we're cooked feelings from people laughing and joking in 2020 who pushed the jab and lockdowns. Phil McCracken says, I'm Team Trump. I just hope he knows what he's doing. Based on his track record, I feel he will keep America safe. Agreed. Johnny says, I changed my mind about this. I think it was a gutsy move by Trump to do this. Now, hopefully we get a regime change so you gay guys can be accepted. Eric K says, show the Cobra DM Twitter. JRG Project says, the minute the isolationist and Democrats scream for impeachment, we will fully unify MAGA regardless of the outcome. Look at how he handled COVID. Little Jims says, remember we have sleeper cells thanks to Biden. Mitchell Field says, Asmongold put it best. Why would you want to abort a baby at 3 months, 9 months, or after it's born? Nukes equal baby. Fantastic Knox says, been seeing the pro-Iran protest. Before that was pro-Hamas. Oops, I mean Palestine. Before that it was, pro-Ukraine. Yeah, like they're all going to be, all the losers are going to have Iran flags in their bio now. They're going to get rid of the Blockbuster video and they're going to have Iran flags now. Like that's what it's going to be. That's exactly what's going to happen. Mitchell Field says, Beardo with what you do. Beardo with what you do to bananas. Can you do that with nuclear uranium? Eric K says, we need vegans. They will be the first to eat after we run out of cows. Seth says, what the fuck? I go to Jackson City Rodeo and suddenly my phone blows up with all this crap. Hail the 199. Praise Allah. Long live the chat. Mike Zero Source says, those panicking, the chair is against the wall, and John has a long mustache. Force Geek says, Nick Fuentes is Ben Shapiro when the cameras are not on, except make Fuentes a Jew. Chris Gonzalez says, Ukrainian chicks are very hot. Mike Zero Source says, the Blue Falcon, great name. I suspect only a few will understand where your name came from. Mitchell Field says, who has the best chance of winning out of the three options? Ukraine, Iran, or Dan Vask versus you in Mario Kart? Me. Dan Vask ain't shit. I taught Dan everything he knows. I taught him how to sing, taught him how to play video games. I taught him everything. Chester Wolf says, it's hilarious saying all of this happens now. If Democrat Party is against what Trump did, we can now call them anti-Semitic. Fantastic Knox says, pro-Iran protesters, Palestine or Hamas supporters just stormed into Penn Station protesting Trump's strike on Iran. Really? God, like I can't keep up. There's so much shit that it's like impossible. Okay. I know, like reading the super chats, I lose kind of focus of like what all's going on right now. And let's see. So Israel, let's see games tonight. Let's see Israel, U.S. and Israel militaries war game tonight's Iran strike under Biden. Times of Israel. Well, I don't care what Israeli media is saying right now. Let's see. FedEx founder and billionaire Fred Smith passes away at 80. Huh. Okay. Yeah, we saw that one earlier. So that was like an hour ago. So we don't really have any updates right now. Look who's mad. Tim Walz is mad. Following the president's decision to bomb nuclear facilities in Iran, I've directed our public safety teams to be on heightened alert for potential threats to Minnesota. While there's no known threats at this time, we'll continue to monitor the situation and respond accordingly. Thank you, Tim Walz. Thank you, buddy. We really appreciate that, man. So we got that one. Okay. Yeah, the freak out is crazy for sure. Let's see. President Trump has always been resolute on two things: the Iran nuke program and illegal immigration. Now it's time to mop it all up. Well, you're not wrong on that one. You're not wrong on that one. Let's see. Marjorie Taylor Greene just quote tweeted AOC whining about impeachment. She says, "Shut up, you pathetic little hypocrite. You fully supported our military and IC running the proxy war against Russia in Ukraine. And you voted to fund the Ukraine war under your president with dementia. You don't get to play the anti-war and moral outrage anymore." Oh, that's freaking beautiful. That's freaking beautiful right there. Oh, that's awesome. Cliff Fix says, is there anybody here who is okay with Iran having nuclear weapons? I'd love to hear them tell us why. It is like, that is at the core of it. Like, can anyone just explain, like, are you okay with that? I think it's a fair question. Are you okay with Iran having nuclear weapons? That's it. Thank you, Cliff. Good to see you, brother. Rob says, I finally figured out who Netflix Yahoo actually was. Tough to come on in the middle. Yeah, I know. Every time I say Netflix Yahoo, I know a lot of people are confused when they pop in. So let's see. Mitchell Field says, Jeremy, should we wait until they nuke us first? Me, is LA a first option? Celebrity Jeremy says, IDS, Israel Derangement Syndrome. I've never heard of an Israeli suicide bomber. Islam, on the other hand, draw your own conclusion. It is true. Celebrity Jeremy says, dropping Chris Christie would have wiped out all of the dinosaurs. Lapco says, if you hooked up with Mr. Hater's mom, at least you could do is tell him who she is. His two dads have closely guarded that secret from him. Hayden Wayne says, I'll say it again. If they were a problem, why didn't we make Windows out of their leadership? I can't say glass now in the context, on that context, laughing my ass off. Don't target things they care about. Window leadership. I totally understand what you're saying, Hayden. I'm about to lose my voice, by the way. My voice is almost gone, but I'm trying to get through the rest of these because I appreciate your support. Thank you so much. Bird Up says, bro, you don't understand. Iran was this close to building a Iridium Q36 explosive space modulator. Leighton Hallman says, the only thing we all agree on is Jeremy works for Mossad and is a fig. Hail to 199. Right, the guy says, Iran just changed their pronouns on all nuclear sites to was, were. Tom McD says, Jeremy missed my member message and previous super chat. No, I didn't. I already got to him. Fart Shark Depart says, Nick porking women is gay Fuentes. Mitchell Field says, sent Twitter message to you. You will like it. The Royal Wee says, Jeremy, Google dancing Israelis, Jews, not friends. Mitchell Field says, F-15 is better than the F-14 after the F-15 got missile upgrade. Air Force versus Navy fun fact. I'm starting to get tongue-tied on all these words. Ronan Zero says, life is more than one issue. So miss me with the I didn't vote for this tears. Jim P says, look at earthquakes apps. Trump rocked the earth in Iran. War Breer says, what if earthquakes today was Iran bomb test? Oh, the earthquake the other day, that was Chris Christie. Loretta Silver member says, have you seen Toby's final live performance of Don't Let the Old Man Die? Don't Let the Old Man In before he died? Kind of made me cry, not gonna lie. I just don't want to watch it. Sean Scroggins with a 199. Thank you. Mitchell Field says, drink some water. You need it. Yeah, I got plenty of water over here. Got plenty. Anyway, let's see. Joseph over on Rumble says the question is, does the dog wag the tail or the tail wag the dog? Dark Hawk says, check out Mark Dice's post on YouTube. Very rational. It usually is from Mark Dice. True Mr. Gentleman says, Jeremy, you're almost there. You're almost there. Oh, no. You get hit by the blue shell. Never mind. Yeah, well, motherfuckers tell me I'm almost there. I feel like I'm playing Mario Kart. Like, yeah, I'm almost here, and then a fucking blue shell hits. Dan says, I'm good with strategic targets. Retaliation, of course. Eternal vigilance is the cost of freedom. Nader's Bricks says, the only relief I feel is when I take a shit. Very, very good point right there. Sailor says, check out TPA Sarah pinned post on X. Iran has pretty much nothing. Well, there's going to be a lot of follow-ups to this for sure. So, but I'm at the end and I'm going to have to cut it. If I'm going to go live tomorrow, I got to cut this because I still have stuff to do tonight. And it is, what time is it? It's midnight Eastern and I still have shit to do. So I want to go live tomorrow and deal with whatever is going to, I don't know if I can go live. I'm going to try. So I will do my best to go live to cover the press conference tomorrow by Pete Hegseth and Raising Cane. Apparently that's happening. So I do appreciate all the new subscribers. Thank you for the support. If you hate me, I hope you still watch me because I don't need an echo chamber. It's fine. We like when the chat gets a little rowdy around here. We like different opinions. We like that. We like a little debate. It's all fun and we like it. So thank you guys so much. I do appreciate it. Have a good night. Be safe. Pray for America and pray for our brave soldiers. They are the most important thing right now. Nothing else. The brave men and women of the United States military. Notice I didn't say the brave they thems. The brave men and women of the military. Thank you guys. Have a good night. We'll talk to you later. Bye, everyone.